Do 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 do. 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 I wake up in the morning and I wonder why everything's the same anymore. I can't understand. No, I can't understand. Anyways, guys, how you guys doing? I know a lot of you saw my post and everything. I was at Alien Con. It was fun. It was super duper fun and got a lot of knowledge, a lot of things to follow up on. So I decided let's do a hangout. Let's do a live hangout. I know a lot of you like to talk about this stuff. So that's what we're going to do. I haven't really been following UFO literature or alien literature that closely because I've been so busy. I honestly didn't know of a lot of things. Right before this, I was looking up some of the stuff that they were talking about. And some of the stuff is from 2015. And I feel so out of touch with all this Egyptology. Even the New York Times in December came out with a big article about how the Pentagon was secretly investigating UFOs. It's crazy. The New York Times, and I missed that article, mainly because I think the New York Times is just one of these untrustable sources, right? But it's still the New York Times. It's mainstream media. And mainstream media was talking about this. It's crazy. So that's what I want to do today. And let me open up my live control room to see who's there. Whoa, we got a lot of people. Reverend's here. What's up, Canto Driver? Lalizia's here. PUBG's here. L's here. Bob's here. Eric's here. Cryptomist is here. Vaughn is here. Oh, Cryptomist, you want to join the hangout, eh? Hey, Cryptomist, I will send you. Also, so Vaughn and Cryptomist, you guys are old hangout buddies. I will send you guys on Discord. All right, so go to your Discord. I will send you guys a link. Anyone else want to join? Guys, you guys have to. This is a talk about aliens and stuff like that, okay? So if you don't want to talk about aliens, then join next time. But this time, I will invite anyone who wants to talk about aliens and all that shenanigans. So how do I? Oh yeah, sorry guys, I forgot how to create an invite link. So, anyways, everyone tuning in, welcome. I'm gonna invite some people in. Caesar came with me. My bro Caesar, who I do jujitsu with, he came with me. So I hope he joins later. He's really knowledgeable about this stuff. So if Caesar joins, he can share his thoughts about all this. And I know, guys, it's Father's Day, so happy Father's Day, I guess. I don't know if any of you celebrate Father's Day. Cryptimus, I just sent you an invite. And Vaughn, you still want to join? Okay, Vaughn, I'm going to send you an invite. So, Vaughn, I'm going to find you. I will find you. I will find you. So check your Discord, Cryptomist and Vaughn, and we will get it. Jessica, what's up? L, what's up? What am I reading? Digital Pain asked me. I am reading a lot of stuff on Alien Con and Alien and all that. Okay, anyways, until they join, let me share my screen and we can talk a little bit about Alien Con. So guys, look, we could see everyone's chat here. This is what I'm seeing. I have a little delay. So this was Alien Con. They have another one in Baltimore. So for my audience that's on the East Coast, right here. So I went to the one in Pasadena, and I could have gone all weekend, but I got sick on Saturday, so I didn't get to go. On Friday, I was busy. I was busy on Saturday too, but they had some good stuff. They had Ancient Aliens, lots about Star Trek. So David Duchovny was there too. It was pretty cool. David Childress was here. Rami, Ramani. I'm going to talk a lot about them later. So look at that. They have Battlestar Galactica. I didn't get to see that, of course. Saturday had some cool stuff, astrobiology. So the way it worked, they had different rooms, and different rooms had different themes. So one room was very science themed. One room was very, very kind of out there. One room was all about fandom. One room was a big room, mostly ancient aliens. So secret space program, UFOs. And this was the one that I went to today, Sunday. I got to see a little bit of Ancient Aliens. I saw a little bit of SETI. This was it was too early in the morning for this, so I didn't go see this one. And then what else did I see? I was trying to go to this, but this was I didn't really feel that. So I went to this after a while. And then I went to the McPherson tape for a while, but then there was one room that was all about fiction and how we depict aliens. I don't want to do that. I want to think about actual stuff, science and conspiracy theories and stuff. So I didn't go to this one, but I went to this for a little. This was pretty whack. And then I went to this one. This one was pretty cool. And then I fell asleep. A little sugar crash. I went to this one. This one was a trip, man. Earth grids. I know Joseph talks about that a lot. Joseph, if you tune in, I'll definitely bring you on. You would have really liked this one. The speaker talked about Earth grids for an hour. And then ET's Among Us. I skipped this one. We went to this one. This one was amazing. This one talked about Egypt. Got me interested in Egypt again. We caught a little bit of this. So that was a little bit about what I attended. And looks like we have Cryptomist in. What's up, Cryptomist?
Yes, Cryptomist is in the house. Is my mic okay?
Yeah, your mic is cool. Can you hear me well?
Yes, of course. Yeah.
Okay,
I can.
Awesome. So let me present to you the first thing, the most interesting thing, in my opinion, that I learned this time at Alien Con. So let me share my screen again, and we'll get your thoughts on this in a second if you want to.
Okay, cool.
So first of all, I don't know if you guys have ever seen a map of Egypt, of Giza. So if you zoom in here, so this is where the Sphinx is. This is where the Pyramid of Giza is. Google Maps does wonders, man. Look at this. So you can actually see Egypt. And so the Nile's all the way here now. I know from just how rivers flow in the desert that I'm going to bet a few dollars that the Nile probably used to flow a little closer, just because depending on how weather is, how the sand is and everything, the river Nile is going to flow differently over time. So I just get this feeling, I could be wrong, but I think the Nile probably used to flow closer to the pyramids. And if any of you know anything about Egyptology, I think it makes sense if the Nile, let's say 4,000, 5,000 years ago, flowed really close, much closer to the pyramids, because it's easier for them to carry the rocks, right? If you can carry the rocks by water, it's easier than dragging them thousands of miles. But that's just my hypothesis. Let's go into the cool stuff. So this is the Pyramid of Giza. It's humongous. I found out here that, so the Pyramid of Giza, look at this. The Pyramid of Giza is bigger than the freaking Statue of Liberty, man. The Egyptologist that was presenting it, his name was Rami, and he was talking about this. I was like, wait, how could the Great Pyramid be bigger than the Statue of Liberty? But it is. And so what he told me, and this is an article from 2017, so I'm so behind on the latest research, but they did what's called muon scanning. So for those of you who know anything about physics, there's a category of subatomic particles called leptons. Electrons are the most common type of leptons, and then there are muons, and then there's something called a tau particle. Muons and tau particles are much heavier than electrons, and they're much more unstable. And I don't know what that means for why they decided to do a muon scan. I have no idea. All I know is through this scan, they found a new cavity here. And from what Rami said, it's as big as the Statue of Liberty. So imagine the Statue of Liberty sized cavity here. So he thinks maybe that's actually where the pharaohs and the queens, etc., are buried. So all this stuff here, what we call the king and queen chamber, it's all fake. It's all to prevent robbers. So this is actually this cavity here. If we ever dig through it, which there's going to be a lot of controversy, of course, they don't want to go into this pyramid, keep digging it up for obvious reasons. But this, we might find some treasures in here. So fascinating. And I just can't believe we're still finding stuff in this pyramid. So that was probably the coolest thing today. And I found out there's a site called Scan Pyramid. So they scanned the pyramid. This is the part. So this is the official nonprofit, I believe. I don't know if they're for-profit or nonprofit, but they're scanning the pyramid. And this is how they found, it looks like they found something here too, by the way. But this is where they found the big gallery here that probably we're going to find some cool stuff in. I don't know when they're going to open it. So I'm going to put this in the description. And so a little side note for those of you who don't know, I believe I think it was the Ottomans or one of the Arab nations, I don't know which century, but way after Egypt kind of disintegrated, they actually tried to launch catapults, and basically they try to throw rocks at the pyramids to break it down. And apparently the pyramids, because they're very, very stubbornly built stone structures. I mean, the pyramids are designed to last, so the rocks just kind of bounced off. Let me find a picture so you guys know I'm not talking out of my ass. Catapults. That's nothing. That was something not revealed by the panel. I just know that just out of random research. Shot at the pyramids. Let's see if we can find a picture of that. But anyways, Cryptimus, how are you doing?
Yeah, I'm doing good, man. I'm doing good.
Mm-hmm.
One thing that's actually getting me pretty giddy is the fact that I'm probably like 2 followers away from 5K followers on Twitter. So that's a little milestone for me, which I'm excited about.
What is your Twitter? Let's look at it right now.
Oh yeah, it's the same as my username on YouTube.
So this is Cryptimus. Oops, there you are. This is Cryptimus. So that's your Twitter.
Yeah.
Damn, so this is Cryptimus.
I usually just post.
You are actually at 5,000, man.
Oh, am I? Cool.
Let me put you in the Hangouts. So yeah, that was, for those of you watching the little Egypt talk. That was the thing that really, it's like, I used to really want to be an archaeologist back in the day, and this is why I want to be an archaeologist. They're still discovering shit, man. This fucking thing that's been around for, I don't know, it says built some 4,500 years ago. So it's been around for almost 5,000 years, and we still can't discover all the treasures in it. It's so amazing. So I'll put this in the description too so people can see. So now we get to some more conspiracy stuff. So there's something that I learned called the Tomb of Osiris. I don't know if you guys have ever heard about that, but it's a tomb. I believe it's somewhere around here too. It's somewhere it's somewhere in between the pyramid and the Sphinx, I believe. So the Tomb of Osiris, first of all, Osiris is a god. So why is there a tomb for him? But also, I believe it's here. If you look here, there's a little shaft that goes so deep, and it's so narrow that even a child can't fit through it. So what they're trying to do is they're trying to build a robot, according to Rami. They're trying to build a robot to go down that shaft to figure out what's going on down there. So there's a mystery yet to be revealed in the Tomb of Osiris. So who knows? Is it going to be aliens? Is it going to be something?
Maybe they were shapeshifters in that.
Exactly. Maybe they were shapeshifters. We never know. So what's really interesting was people asked Rami, an Egyptologist, they said, by the way, could it have been aliens? And the thing is, he said honestly, in a lot of Egyptology, there's a little stubbornness, right? There's a lot of pride. They don't want to be like, yeah, other people helped us out. They want to be like, no, we're Egyptians. We built all of this. So until there's actual irrefutable evidence that there's some ancient aliens or something crazy, you're not going to hear any Egyptologist go like, oh yeah, there's even a potential for aliens. So that's something that Rami was talking about. And he mentioned the Sphinx. So the Sphinx, a lot of you know, has been redesigned many times. Someone asked him about the age of the Sphinx, and he said the thing about carbon dating the Sphinx is that it was built on a mound. So if you take the mound as the sample, you're going to get it wrong because you don't know when they carved it out of the mound, right? So if you take the mound, it might date the Sphinx much older, but you don't know when they built the Sphinx out of the mound. So that was an interesting thing. So a lot of these theories about the Sphinx is much older than it is, there's not solid proof just because the Sphinx was built on something that could be dated much older, but it's not related to when it was built. So something really interesting.
I think there's actually quite a lot of evidence to suggest that the Sphinx is actually older than people like to lead on. And one of the reasons why I say this is because over the past few years, ancient Egyptology has been something that has interested me. Mainly from like the Joe Rogan podcast. There's been a few people on his show that have done a lot of research on it. One being a guy named Graham Hancock. And he had someone on recently called Robert Schoch. And
I remember that guy.
Yeah, he's a geologist. And one of the claims that he makes is that the weathering on the Sphinx and on the mound suggests that it's been weathered by water and not by wind, as a lot of Egyptologists tend to gravitate towards. So, and if you was to take that with the last time where there was a right amount of rainfall to leave that sort of impression on the Sphinx, it dates it back to, I believe it's like 9 or like 10,000 years ago, which predates basically almost all predictions made by Egyptologists. And so it does go back to that thing where it's like, unless they do see concrete proof, they are sort of reluctant to sort of push it back.
Yeah.
Because that would have to you'd have to like rewrite a lot of history books, a lot of books on Egyptology if you were to really admit that these the Sphinx at least was, you know, thousands of years older than you know all of the than the consensus basically.
Exactly. So I wouldn't call what you said proof. I would call it just another theory,
or evidence,
hypothesis that deserves to be explored. Basically, I think a lot of the frustration of the guests that Joe Rogan brings on is that the Egyptologists are so stubborn in their ways. They don't even want to explore alternate hypotheses.
Yeah.
So, but you're completely right. There's definitely, you can retroactively justify a lot of other potential theories and hypotheses. And that's why my friend Caesar that was there with me, he was a little frustrated by the talk because the guy was being so stereotypical scientist about it. It's like, no proof, then I'm not even going to fathom it. And he's like, there's so many other things you could potentially explore if you just opened your minds a little bit.
Yeah, and maybe that may actually be the key to discovering something new. Just, you know, having the ability to sort of step outside the box and see what could possibly have gone on during that time, and maybe the sort of rigid nature of the current Egyptologists may actually limit their discoveries of what actually happened.
I mean, I'm just thinking from physics. Remember back in the day, people thought that, oh yeah, light is definitely a particle. It's definitely a particle. And then it turns out, no, it's actually potentially a wave. But then it's both a particle and a wave. And there's so much, you get limited so much by what you think, right? And unfortunately, even a lot of science is what you think. So let's bring in Vaughn, man. What's up, Vaughn? If you're there. Don't know if Vaughn's still there. I mean,
oh, hey.
What's up, dude?
All right. You can hear me, right?
Yeah, I can hear you.
All right. Yeah, I don't know if I have too much to add on here. I'm guessing you've already seen Ancient Aliens or some other stuff like that.
I've seen some shows. So my impression of the Ancient Aliens talk. So the Ancient Aliens talk was in the big civic auditorium in the Pasadena Convention Center, and they definitely had the most audience. But my thing about them was that they came from the angle that all of that was true. So there was a lack of subtle objectivity in them. So I actually didn't really like the Ancient Alien panels that much because they're like, yeah, this is definitely true. Oh yeah, you should look at this alien abduction. You should look at this alien landing. So in fact, I'm going to explore some of that later, but I was, I get it because they were catering towards people who are very deep fans of the show. So they feel like, yeah, these people all agree with me. But for someone like me who doesn't watch Ancient Aliens all the time, I felt like, what kind of Heaven's Gate cult did I stumble into?
Yeah. So you're saying they were like preaching to the choir, basically?
Oh yeah, they were preaching to the choir. That's exactly how the Ancient Aliens panels felt like.
Yeah, and there was
Yeah,
like even with the stuff on Netflix that I once watched, it felt kind of like a lot of the examples felt like confirmation bias. I
Hmm.
mean, there were a few case studies or case points that could represent some sort of technology that wouldn't be able to be utilized by ancient civilizations, but I mean, that's like something we can't even test. So,
Yeah, exactly. So the next things while we're at it, I'm going to show you guys. So I have all these notes taken. So have you guys ever seen this? It's probably the first found footage film. It predates Blair Witch Project by 10 years, believe it or not. So I'm going to show you guys this. And the director or the producer of it was actually there today talking about his movie. This guy Dean was there, but I don't know why it's called UFO abduction. It's called the McPherson tape, if you guys have heard about it. And he was talking about how he created it, the McPherson tape. It's really interesting. And the thing about the McPherson tape was it's been passed around by the UFO community as something that was true. It's like it's a real thing. But he said he was just trying to do a very cheap movie. He only had like $5,000 or something like that. And somehow the studio that's supposed to distribute the film burned down. So he never had a master cut. He thought it never even got distributed. But then it ended up somehow on getting, I don't know if the VHS or something made it out to a few stores, and then it just became a phenomenon in itself. It's really funny how things spread. And so every company starts contacting him and be like, oh, we want to examine the tape. And he's like, dude, I shot it with some actors. And they're like, we don't care. We want to examine the. So that was really funny to get the author of it just like come. Oh yeah, see, he only had a 6,500 budget. So, and then another. I don't know if you guys have seen this movie, but the director of this was there too. This was inspired by what's called the Phoenix Lights or something like that. I don't know if you guys have heard about the Phoenix Lights, but apparently 50,000 people or something like that. Again, Wikipedia not the most trustworthy, but a lot of people reported seeing it. So probably the biggest mass sighting of quote unquote UFO phenomenon in America ever. So I'm trying to see if there's a number, but so that was pretty cool. There's lots of interesting people that were there. So I actually found out about the McPherson tape when I was in China. So my history with UFOs, my parents, I don't know how they got a hold of 3 books on UFOs, ghosts, mysteries, and stuff like that. And I was 7 or 8 in China at the time, and I just started reading them. And I very distinctly remember a little section on the McPherson tape, and I didn't know what it was until years later. I found out, oh, that's the McPherson tape, but it scared the fuck out of me because again, that book also portrayed it as real. And I was so scared that night after I read that little section on the McPherson tape. Basically, the plot of the story is this family goes up into the cabin in the woods to celebrate the daughter's 5th birthday, and then they stumble on these aliens that abduct them. It's pretty crazy. So everyone who didn't know that it was a found footage movie saw it on television and thought it was real, kind of like what Blair Witch did. That's how the Blair Witch went so viral and made back its money. So the McPherson tape was the first viral sort of found footage.
one of the things that I always think about is how recent found footage actually is. Like, you would have thought that since cameras have been around for decades earlier, that you'd see a few like found footage movies earlier, like, you know, a lot earlier, because it seems like obviously if you're trying to seem realistic, that would be the way to do it. And I think just growing up, just sort of leading on to from your point, yeah, I remember my first few like found footage movies that I remember seeing. The first one was this movie called I think it was a space one, Apollo 11 or something like that. But they basically go to space and then, well, they go to the moon and they find aliens. And yeah, it really does. If you don't know any better, it really would give you the impression that this is actually a real event, especially considering at the start they typically always say based on true events or something like that. And I suppose when it does come to aliens specifically, it would be one of those things that would fuel way more people, because
Uh-oh. Hey, you have to say it again. We couldn't really hear you. Bro,
Yeah, you're cutting out.
You're cutting out. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna put on my headphones. Hopefully that'll help them not cut out.
As a thing, a lot of people believe that.
Hey, Cryptimus, you were cutting out the whole time.
Cool. Well,
I'm gonna put on my headphones. Hopefully that'll help a little bit.
Okay. Is it?
Yeah, it's better now.
Okay, cool. Let me see if I can get to a better position.
Yeah.
Try missionary.
All right, got my headphones on. Boom. So something while you're getting into a better position, missionary, maybe, I want to give a shout out to Darian. Darian said that UPN actually build. So he's talking about the remake of the McPherson tape, not the original, but they build it as real. So the remake was also directed by the same director, and they build it as real. So that's clever marketing.
The best way to make a found footage seem real is to just make it look like shit. Film vertically, drop your camera, let it roll on until it runs out of film.
And shake it so people get headaches. Clutch Me 70 said aliens are interfering with Cryptimus' signal.
It's a conspiracy.
It's a conspiracy, man.
Yeah, he was in the middle of explaining how they all work.
Okay, how is it now?
That's a little better. Yeah, so repeat what you just said, basically.
Okay, yeah, I was basically just talking about, just based on found footage, it's obviously supposed to portray it as being real, but if you were to combine that with the fact that aliens, or people just really want to believe that aliens are real, it would sort of encourage them to sort of dive deeper down into those kind of things. Like you said, like, even though the director of that movie would say, no, I actually just made this with you'd want to, or people would sort of, try to find any reason to give aliens some kind of credibility. Maybe, I don't know, it seems genuine most of the time, but sometimes it does seem quite obvious that they're just trying to cash in on people.
Yeah, it's that confirmation bias.
Yeah.
Exactly.
They just want to rationalize things as to fit their perception.
Exactly. And people have made, and obviously, considering the fact that you're probably into aliens as well, you may have known that there are still a lot of documentaries coming out like every single year about aliens and UFOs. Yeah. And as the quality gets higher, they sort of seem a lot more, I don't know, a lot more credible, if that makes sense. And I don't know, people that don't really know any better would really, I don't know, they may pass off certain things that were just sort of lights in the sky as aliens when they were just really, I don't know, a satellite or something like that.
Okay, so Vaughn just let me know that Raptor Chick wants to join too. So Raptor Chick, I will send you an invite so you can join too. And while we're at it, I'm gonna go to the next thing that was really interesting. So Raptor Chick, I just sent you on Discord a invite to the Hangout if you want. So the next thing I wanted to bring up was in one of the Ancient Alien talks. So one of the people asked, besides Roswell, what's another big crash event that everyone should do the research on because no one knows about it, but it's just as significant? So the guy said in Aztec, New Mexico, there was some sort of like UFO sighting or something. So let's explore this together until Raptor Chick joins. So I'm going to share my screen again. So I don't know if we can, well, we got the Wikipedia page. Hey, look at that. There's even a crash site for it.
So many sightings in New Mexico.
Yeah. So a high security recovery operation led by the Air Force and 5th Army Division was responsible for the removal of the craft. The recovery, again, guys, this is I don't know what kind of site this is, so take it with a grain of salt, of course.
Maybe the aliens were trying to cross the border.
Aliens are trying to cross the border. I like that. The recovery of this craft by the U.S. government and military was one of the most secretive recoveries of spacecraft with origins unknown since similar recoveries in Roswell, New Mexico. Oh, it's both New Mexico. The spacecraft was 100 feet in diameter and 18 feet tall. Damn. All the occupants, as many as 16, died in the crash. Holy shit. Damn, so there's a plaque here that commemorates that. Oh, there's a number here. What does this number do, guys? Let's try calling this number. Let's see what happens. So we're going to call the number now. Hopefully I don't wake up someone. 583-4629. Okay. So let's see what happens. I'm going to have to, I don't know what their party consent is, so I'm going to have to tell them they're being recorded because they might not be a one-party consent state.
Mm.
So I was going to say the anticipation. What are we going to get here?
Imagine if he doesn't speak English.
Oh, that'd be hilarious. I'll have to BS some Spanish then. Come on. I want to hear about aliens, guys. Pick up the number, alien person.
Thought that on a site like Aliens, they'd want to accept every single call that comes in.
Exactly. Ooh.
Welcome to Aztec, New Mexico. You have reached Aztec Visitor Center.
Oh, this is the visitor center. Never mind.
Nah.
So, okay, let's look at Wikipedia, see if we can. So this is called the Other Roswell, according to Wikipedia. And it's pretty objective. I like this. Alleged, right? A crash alleged to have happened in 1948. So behind the flying saucers. Some ufologists resurrected the story in books and claimed the purported crash was real. The story was exposed as a hoax fabricated by two confidence men. So that's according to Wikipedia. Let's look at the sources. Fact, fantasy, or disinformation. So it's really bad to use the Skeptics Dictionary. That's not an objective source either. So yeah, you don't want to use the Skeptic Dictionary because you don't know what their bias is. So that's not actually a good source to base here. So he used this as this is a book that they used as their source. The story dropped out of nobody but debunkers mentioned it for some 2 decades after that. In the late 1970s, however, ETH proponent Leonard Stringfield resurrected the Aztec hoax as one of a litany of supposed crash UFOs. Interesting. So what is this book? The UFO Phenomenon, Fact, Fantasy, and Disinformation. Let's look this up on Amazon.
That cover looks like it was made on Microsoft Paint.
Probably was. UFO Phenomenon. There's so many. This is the one. So this is by John Michael Greer. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, I know that guy.
Have you read his books?
I've seen like I've sort of seen some articles with his name attached to it. I'm not sure if that's the same guy, but he has the same last name. He's done a few documentaries, I believe, as well about UFOs, and he makes them seem very believable, and that's sort of what I was talking about. Because I remember watching that a few months ago, thinking, you know what, you sort of get sucked in because of how dramatic everything. They piece together the footage and that sort of thing. But then when you see a situation where like one thing doesn't add up, or there's one piece of their story that's been debunked, it sort of throws a cog in the works. And that sort of, I don't know, discourages me in particular anyway. But I'm sure people would sort of look past that and say, no, that may have been wrong, but everything else, he's right about everything else. And that sort of reasoning, I don't know, it raises some flags in my head. Yeah, agreed. But either case, I think this New Mexico thing needs more examination. And again, it goes back to what I was talking about. The Ancient Aliens panel where just preaches the choir. No one mentioned that, hey, there might be some controversy as to the validity. I mean, everyone knows that something crashed in Roswell, right? So there's no doubt that something crashed in Roswell. The debate is what crashed. But
like this Aztec New Mexico, just because not many people know about it. So the person just tossed that out like it was some fact. But from the research that we've looked at so far, it looks like that's potentially not even a fact. So interesting. So that's that for that debate. But go ahead.
We also have to come to terms with the fact that we may just not have the means to get a good picture of what happened. You know, we have the technology to do so much when it comes to, I don't know, looking back in time, so to speak, to find, I don't know, things like geological structures and, I don't know, natural things like carbon samples and tree rings or whatever. But then you sort of have to, it sort of gives you the impression, oh, we can just pick any time in history and just go back there and understand exactly what happened. But maybe there may be certain situations where the evidence is just gone, and we may have to accept that.
Agreed. I think you're so right, because think about all the technology we have now. We've been discovering all this ancient Mayan civilization that we could have never found even 10 years ago. So if we had the technology now, imagine what the Air Force could have done at the crash site. Let's say if they really wanted to investigate it, but potentially, let's say something did crash in Aztec, maybe the Air Force didn't even have the technology to really recover anything. It's crazy to think that, you know, this was in the 40s, right? What kind of shit did we have technology-wise that could even keep any of that?
Yeah. But I don't know, maybe in the future we will develop, obviously, well, we will develop more advanced technology, and it may give us some insight. But I don't know, like you said, the idea that maybe, I don't know, maybe even if there were aliens there, the technology that they had would have sort of disintegrated into thin air, that sort of thing. Yeah. They never really consider the fact that if an alien is able to come here from a parallel universe or from a galaxy far, far away, that you'd think they'd have the technology to, I don't know, like disappear into thin air, or to scramble, just to sort of make themselves undetectable to primitive beings like ourselves, and that never sort of comes into the equation.
Yeah, or not fucking crash.
Oh yeah, or not fucking crash. Or what I was thinking of, you know how U.S. planes, any plane carrying classified information, when they're about to crash, they can auto-delete everything. So all you get is just a crash plane. You can't get any information on there. So if, like you said, some kind of civilization that's millions of years advanced, I'm sure they'd be able to do that to the extreme. As in, if their craft really malfunctions and crashed, the whole thing would just like disintegrate. You wouldn't find anything.
Yeah.
We can almost do that. We can self-destruct airplanes and stuff, so all you get is debris. So why couldn't they take some like 0-point energy or whatever the fuck and like implode their plane completely so we don't find anything?
Yeah, it's very possible.
Yeah. So I'm going to present to you guys something else that I went to a talk about Earth grids and stuff like that, and that talk was totally out of this world. A lot of it was just like the thing about when you try to find patterns in nature is that there's so much in nature. So if you draw a line one place to another, you're probably going to hit something cool. And it's like, oh my God, that's a pattern, right? But anyways, I found out that there was a megalithic structure called Gunung Padang. If anyone is Southeast Asian, Bill.
Yeah, I've heard.
So you heard of that, right? This is Gunung Padang.
Is that sort of the pot-bellied hill? Is that what they call it?
Something like that. But I was looking at, this is in Indonesia. So again, all the rocks are completely disintegrated. But I saw a picture earlier. If I can find it, look at this. So if you look at a reconstruction, apparently this is what it looked like. That's fucking beautiful. I don't want to click on it for fair use reasons. I feel like it's a YouTube video that, you know, might try to claim copyright. But like if you look here, so it looks pretty cool. This is another cool drawing. So now I feel like this is complete bullshit. It's not like this. What the fuck is this? But you got to be careful with Google Images. But,
yeah, especially with the algorithms, will probably send you down even further rabbit holes of these crazy structures saying, oh, look what we discovered that was appearing 5 years ago. People are always looking for clickbait thumbnails anyways.
Exactly. But the one thing I did appreciate from the talk on Earth grids is how many fucking megalithic sites there are. There's so many more that we just don't hear about because all we hear about is Stonehenge. But even in England, there's other really impressive megalithic sites.
Probably the most interesting one that I've heard of in the past few years is one called Göbekli Tepe, and that's like in Turkey, I think. And apparently that's been carbon dated to like literally like 11,000 years ago, or maybe even further back, and it seems to have been intentionally buried.
Oh my
And it
God.
seems to be like way, way bigger than Stonehenge, and only a small percentage of it has been excavated at the moment. And the structures of if you find images on the structures, they're sort of like T-shaped pillars, and on the pillars there are some really beautiful designs that have sort of been reliefed out of it. So it wasn't sort of carved into; it's sort of been reliefed out. And it's really fascinating that these guys were able to develop such cool art. And I believe in one of the podcasts that I saw talking about it, some of the structures or some of the designs on it seems to appear in other places in the world as well, like in South America, for example. And so you're looking at that right there. It's so amazing, and I'm thinking if they've been able to prove that this is over 10,000 years old, how on earth were they able to do something like this with the tools that they were supposed to have at the time? So it's
Wow,
that's
dude.
my favorite structure to look at.
This is fascinating because, well, we do know about human evolution. If you follow the fossil/genetic evidence, it's that humans did spend a lot of time in the Middle East after they left Africa. So the Middle East was kind of, once they left Africa, they spent a lot of time in the Middle East before, I believe it's the second group, before the second group of humans went all over.
Yeah.
Did someone else join? Oh, yes.
Yes.
What's up?
Hi.
So you're a Raptor chick, right?
I am.
Awesome. Well, thank you for joining. How did you find this channel, by the way?
Oh, actually, I'm really interested in a lot of Asian culture ever since I was little. I was babysat by this Korean woman, and she introduced me to a lot of different cultures like that. I actually learned Korean through her, and it just kind of, I guess, stuck.
Cool. Do you have a channel, by the way?
Me? No. Unfortunately not. I'm thinking of starting one whenever I go and study abroad in Korea.
I think you should, and the reason is, you know Ali Abbott?
Who?
She's a white girl who lives in Korea, and her channel's so freaking huge because she's like the one white girl that talks about Korean and acts kawaii. I'll send you guys the channel, so you could give her a run for the money.
I've seen her.
Oh,
Korean
my goodness.
binges,
Well,
I've seen
This
her.
is Ali Abbott. If you look in, I'll put it in our private chat here too. But hopefully that inspires you. Talking about Korean culture, man. So in my Big Eyed Girl video, you guys told me that the dance she did was Bubble Pop, the song. So I was looking at Hyuna's Bubble Pop dance, and man, that lady's like, she's cute, but she's also sexy. Somehow she can do both. So thank you for letting me know, all the people who commented that it was Bubble Pop that Big Eyed Girl danced. But I was trying to copy some of the moves and everything. It's pretty cool.
Just popping your butt out.
Exactly. So why don't we get you in on the UFO alien talk and everything? Tell us your experience / anything you've read, etc.
Well, I've watched a couple of movies on Netflix, like the ones like Lost in Egypt or about the Sphinx, about how it's supposed to be older than it actually is let off to be. As well as there's one documentary in particular that I remember. They discovered an artifact in one of the pyramids. And it was of a bird, but it was kind of a weirdly shaped bird, almost like a plane. So what they did was that they created a 3D model of it, and they tried to see if it could fly without any modifications to it, and it could.
Wow.
Oh, yeah, I remember seeing that too.
Yeah, so apparently they had really advanced technology back in the pyramid days, but a documentary also debunked the whole rule of like, aliens built the pyramids, but they found like remnants of rope inside of because the pyramids apparently have 2 walls to them, and they found ropes inside of the where the installation of a modern house would be. So I'm guessing that's how they pulled the rocks up that were so heavy.
Interesting.
This reminds me of one thing that I forgot to bring up earlier about the pyramids. one thing that I've seen sort of reoccur is that there's been some evidence to show that there was no one actually buried inside of the pyramids themselves. Well, I've heard people say that there's been some evidence of that, and it's sort of a strange thing because you that's one of the things that you'd jump to when you see a pyramid, and based on what I've heard just growing up. But yeah, according to someone like Robert Schoch, who's done a lot of research on that, he said that the tombs in the pyramid weren't actually for the pharaohs to be buried in, and they were buried in tombs outside in other structures that were built specifically for their burial, or something along those lines.
Mm-hmm. And what our Egyptologists talked about was that if they do open up that shaft, that newly discovered shaft the size of the Statue of Liberty in the Great Pyramid, they might actually find the actual burial. So we don't know. Right now, the hypothesis that you gave is as valid as the other hypothesis. So until we go into that shaft, we're never going to know. Because I remember years ago, they tried to send a robot through one of the air shafts. So let me give you guys a little quick photo of the Great Pyramid.
Oh, is that the one where there was like another door on the other side?
Yeah, exactly. So they sent it through and they realized, oh, there's actually another door on the other side. So they've slowly been trying to explore things because they didn't even realize that the air shafts were blocked. So let me show you guys real quickly what I'm talking about. So this is, if you guys can see, there are a bunch of air shafts that apparently these align with some important stars. But anyways, I don't remember which air shaft they went through, but one of them they realized was blocked. So about 10 years ago, or maybe even 15 years ago, I don't remember how long it's been, they drilled a hole through the stone that was blocking it, and then they went through it. And in fact, now that I think about it, it's probably this side, because this is the side they found the new area that we have yet to explore. So I assume they drilled through this side and then they found a door blocking the whole thing. It actually makes sense if it's this side, because that's where the Muon scanning last year found there's an area this big that's empty, or not empty, but it's a space, an enclosure that has stuff in it. So this is interesting. Now I'm putting the two pieces together potentially.
Yeah.
So that's something, Egyptology is so cool. And I remember back in high school, I read this article about how the ancient Greeks could have actually been a lot more influenced by Egyptian culture than we give Egyptians credit for, because we also have this association that Egypt's so old, and also Egypt nowadays, it's like, dark-skinned people, even though back in the day, Egypt was like light-skinned people. But like now we think it's like dark-skinned Arab people. So there might be a tinge of racism too. But apparently the Egyptians influenced the Egyptians influenced Greek culture much more than history gives them credit for. I don't know. That's just something I remember reading.
I wouldn't be surprised by that at all.
Mm-hmm. So that's that with Egypt. The next thing I wanted to bring up really quickly, this is something that it was the Earth Grid guy. So the Earth Grid guy was made a lot of assumptions. So again, take everything he says with a grain of salt, but he mentioned something called the Orontius Phineas map. And apparently it shows Antarctica way before anyone discovered Antarctica.
Oh yeah, I've seen that. Yeah.
So I was looking on this site called Bad Archaeology, and I don't know what their aim is. I mean, I don't know if they're just archaeologists who want to tell the actual story, or they have some other purpose. But according to this site, I'm just skimming it real quickly. Apparently that's not Antarctica. It's just him doing a bad drawing of South America or something. So, but it
seems awfully convenient though. That it looks.
Yeah, they do look very similar though. So, or maybe it was a bad drawing of Australia.
Well, it kind of looks like Antarctica with the bottom part of it being like, if you flip the map upside down, you can kind of see how it, how both sides of the globe, it kind of makes it the bottom part of South America.
Yeah, exactly. So this looks like the bottom part of South America. It does look, honestly, I'm not buying that this is a bad drawing of Australia. I do think this does look like Antarctica.
I mean, both Australia and Antarctica are inhospitable anyway, so
Oh shit!
Those spiders are too big there. After they get a certain size, they hiss, and that's not for me.
Oh yeah, Jerry. Have you heard of what was it called? Type 1, Type 2, and Type 3 civilizations?
Yeah, absolutely. And dude, if you want to explain it to our audience, go ahead, and I'll just add on.
Okay, so it's the different types of civilizations is essentially, or for those who don't know or never heard about it, is essentially based on the amount of energy that
Oh yes, yeah.
intelligent species on a planet is capable of harnessing.
The first is planetary, right? And
Yeah,
it
the
goes
first
on
is
from
planetary, able to harness 100% with 100% efficiency the entire planet's energy resources.
Mhm.
Then the second type is pretty much like within the solar system, so essentially the star.
Mhm.
Dyson
And
sphere.
then the Dyson sphere. And then the third would be the energy within the galaxy.
Mhm.
And so if you just go on the internet and look up the super void, then you'll find pretty much the largest cold spot that's been observed in the universe. And a lot of people have argued that that could be evidence of a Type 3 civilization.
Oh wow!
If you just like Google image it,
Yeah,
you'll see
I'm
the
gonna
super void.
share my screen right now. The cosmic microwave background radiation super. Oh, Alex is here. What's up, Alex?
Hi, Jerry.
So, for those of you who don't know, Alex is one of my best friends. He is also a chemist studying for his PhD at Caltech. So, he's going to be our science expert for this panel.
Oh, congratulations, dude.
Hey, guys.
Yeah, Alex is a smart dude and he's super good looking. Unfortunately, he's married, so nobody try to hit on him.
I know.
Yeah.
But so this is what you're talking about, right? This is the super void.
And they also have some images of like the galaxies itself. If you just Google image search it, you'll see an assortment of stars and then a huge actual black spot in the middle of it.
Oh my god!
And all those little glowing dots, those are galaxies, not stars. So, oh yeah, just go into images.
Yeah, I'll go to images.
Uh,
That's a theoretical black hole projection.
Oh, no,
so not that. Maybe this.
Oh yeah, that one.
Holy
Right there.
fuck, man! What the
Holy
fuck?
shit. That's definitely a Type 3 civilization.
Holy shit!
I mean that image might have been a little doctrinated,
yeah,
but
that looks like
it resembles that shape.
it. Uh-huh.
That is crazy.
That's pretty impressive.
This definitely looks Doctor too. Yeah.
Yeah, that one's fake.
Wait, so okay, my question is the Type 3 civilization harnessing every single star in that galaxy, or is it just because of it takes out the majority of the light so that we can't actually see it?
It's theoretically supposed to take up all the amount of energy within the galaxy. So and
Right,
so
so,
like
every
so like
single star.
humans right now we're at like I don't even remember.
We're
We're not
type
even-
zero.
No,
type
we're
zero
like
because
point-
We're burning coal and stuff like that.
Yeah, right now we're at like points. I don't even know. Like
0.6, I believe. I'll
Yeah,
check
I don't-
that.
Yeah, we're
I believe it's
between 0 and
0.6.
1.
But anyways, Alex, man, have you been looking into aliens at all?
I'm learning from you guys right now.
Okay. How's lab going?
Whoa, it sucks.
All right.
Whoa, got to push through these papers, man. Writing's the hard part.
I see.
I understand your struggle. I'm a laboratory assistant.
Oh,
Hey,
wow.
I started working in a lab too.
Look at that. We have a lot of science people on this panel. That's awesome.
Yeah.
I'm just gonna say I worked in the lab so I don't feel left out.
There you go.
Okay.
All right. Well, I'm gonna hop in the shower right now. So
Okay. Well, dude, join us later after the shower if you do feel like it, but I understand if you need to write your paper.
Yo, just put your phone in a Ziploc bag.
The next level of science.
Exactly. So I was looking this up. Apparently, it could be possible one day to have a type 4 civilization, which is if it harnesses an entire universe. Because again, if you think about string theory claims that they're actually small mini universes, right? So there's many dimensions. So there's 3 big space dimensions and 1 time dimension, but there's up to, I believe, 6 other mini Calibre Yao manifold type of weird dimensions. So apparently you can have a type 4 civilization that might be able to harness like a little universe, or maybe it could live inside a supermassive black hole or something like that. So that'd be, again, that's way theoretical physics.
Yeah, there was one theory. Oh, sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, no, go ahead.
Okay, never mind. Well, there was one theory that my friends and I were talking about. I don't know which one they were referring to, so I can't give you a name, but there was the theory of civilizations, kind of like black holes being like wormholes almost, or the theory of them possibly being those. So if that's the case, then since there are thousands and thousands of black holes inside of the galaxy, if not millions, then the amount of alternate dimensions could be infinite. Which kind of gives you a perspective of, like, I've never really been on the bandwagon of we are the only ones inside of a massive universe. There has to be somebody else.
Yeah.
The Fermi paradox is a strange theory. That's like,
yeah, exactly. For those of you who don't know the Fermi paradox, I'll explain it very briefly, and then you guys can add on, because again, it's been a while since I read about it. But for those of you watching, the Fermi paradox is the fact that there are a lot of fucking galaxies in the universe that even we can observe. You know, our observable sphere is actually not even a little bit of it's like very tiny bit of the universe. And even our observable universe, we see a lot of galaxies, and through recent past maybe 20 years, we got better at looking at the spectroscopy, I believe is the word, of what planets, etc., are in these galaxies and what star systems are in these galaxies. And not only do we find that a lot of these galaxies have solar systems similar to ours, but a lot of them have planets in what's called the Goldilocks zone, basically planets that exist in a zone close enough to the sun and also far enough from the sun that life like our carbon-based life could exist. Again, this is excluding any type of life that could be non-carbon-based, but even if you look at carbon-based life, there should be a lot of it. But why the fuck haven't we found anything? Why the fuck hasn't SETI picked up anything? Why the fuck hasn't aliens contacted us besides like the UFO shit that, you know, we can or cannot believe? But either way, it's like, why haven't we had more definitive proof of extraterrestrial contact? I think that's 90% of it. If I forgot anything, let me know.
Yeah, I think that's basically most of it. And I think one immediate refutation would be the fact that, I don't know, in our lifetimes, well, I would say we only discovered the first planet system in the late 90s. So the idea that a mere 20 years later we discover evidence of life on another planet, I think is a bit too short of a time frame. I think we just have to give it longer, perhaps. And maybe we're not even looking at the right thing. Maybe we don't have the ability to conceive of what those beings may be projecting at us if they are in the galaxy somewhere or in the universe somewhere. And then I suppose the next one would be, you know, maybe they either don't want to be found, or they sort of figure out that, you know, so far, maybe it would be best to sort of turn inwards and go into the sort of microscopic plane, or to even disappear into another universe that's better for their civilization or something like that. I think this will be a problem that sort of super intelligent artificial intelligences will have a better grasp of, because I think the question of a foreign intelligence is just so out of our reach. Especially only, I don't know, this little span of civilization has only been around for like 10,000 years or so. So I don't know. I think we have a long way to go before we can even begin to start to wonder where these beings are, if they are somewhere.
Yeah.
But yeah, I suppose it is also possible that there has to be a first, and we may be that first. But statistically speaking, I think that's very, very unlikely.
Yeah, I really like what you said about the fact that our technology's been evolving so quickly these past 20 years. And just like you said, maybe it's statistically speaking, maybe we're just not looking in the right place because our technology hasn't been at the right place to look in the right place, right? It's like a chicken or egg. Maybe aliens are all around us. Maybe they're in a different dimension. We just can't see it because our technology's not there.
Room. You never know.
Exactly. Maybe they're in this room. Maybe they're right here. I'm just kidding.
Yeah. In terms of technology and finding aliens or aliens finding us, you also have to keep in mind the time aspect of it. Whenever we're looking at another solar system with a terrestrial planet within the Goldilocks zone, depending on how far away it is, how many light years, we're essentially looking into the past.
Yeah.
And the same thing goes around for aliens who might actually be looking at us. If they're like, if we're super far away from them, right now we're just, sending out radio waves. How many years ago since radios were invented?
Yeah.
And that stuff only goes so far for so long.
Before it decays.
Yeah, before it decays. And so aliens essentially are also looking at, if they had super telescopes, they could be looking at dinosaurs right now, and then they come here and they're like, the fuck are these little things?
Exactly.
Or maybe that's the
You're
reason
completely right, man. This has been the plot of a lot of science fiction books where aliens try to invade because last time they looked at us, we were cavemen or we were just like apes. But then they come here and it's like, oh shit, these humans are fighting world wars.
Like that one Futurama episode where that one dude is like, oh, what happens on my novella? And he comes here and then he's like, reinvent this for me so I can know what happens to Julie.
What? I love Futurama, man. Is that show still showing?
Yeah.
Wow. Dude, Futurama is awesome.
I enjoy the concept of it. It's more like an adult version of the Jetsons. Remember that show?
Yeah, exactly. It's an adult, more modern version of the Jetsons. So one of our viewers sent this to me earlier. So let's just look at this real quick. He's talking about star alignment, so shaft alignment and the Orion correlation. So this was back when we were talking about the Pyramid of Egypt.
I was going to bring that up at some point. Yeah.
Yeah. So apparently the King Chamber Southern Shaft aligns with Orion, which is pretty cool.
It aligns with Orion's shaft.
Oh, shit. You're right. It does align with Orion's shaft.
Also, keep that image up for a second. Can you see the sort of the Milky Way just on the side of it?
Oh yeah, right there.
Yeah, that may sort of resemble the River Nile in a way because the pyramids are sort of aligned next to it too.
Dude, that's deep, and I totally buy that. Look at that.
Yeah, because I remember when you showed the map, it looks like the exact same thing, but just like flipped.
Exactly. Oh, dude, talking about that, I learned something today, which is really funny. I'll explain to you why it's funny. But so, according to what our Egyptologist said, back in the day, east of the Nile, which is another reason why I think the Nile probably used to flow much closer, east of the Nile, east in ancient Egyptian culture represented life, and west, because the sun sets in the west represented death. That's why all the pyramids, all the tombs are on the west side of the Nile, and all the prayers, all the, I don't know, you don't call them churches, what do you call them, temples and stuff, were on the right side of the Nile because it's in the east. So the reason I find it funny is because now that the Nile's changed, you have all this stuff. Even Cairo University is in the west of the Nile. So this is all built in where it's supposed to be death, man. What are you guys doing, Egyptians?
Nobody cares. It's all nihilistic.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh my gosh.
Oh, sorry, guys. I realized I didn't share my screen. Let me just share the screen for those of you who wanted to see. See, look at this, guys. Again, the west of the Nile is supposed to represent death, right? That's why all the pyramids were all here. But look at that. There's all this construction. You know, the population of Egypt's growing, right? So they're building where in the parts of the, back at sacred ancient Egypt, it's supposed to represent death. So, and then Vaughn said it's very nihilistic.
Oh, the pun.
Exactly. All the puns, man. So for those of you who want to see the map of Egypt, I have it in a bit.ly in the description. For those of you watching, keep refreshing the Hangout page because you're going to see more posts, more links as I link to more stuff we talk about. So that's how you guys can find more links. So that way, because if you don't refresh it, it's not going to update the description for you.
Another thing sort of leading on from the constellations is that sort of ties into the fact that the Sphinx may actually be older, is that apparently the direction that the Sphinx is facing would have aligned with the constellation of Leo around the time, or that sort of coincides around the time where the geologist Robert Schoch is saying that the Sphinx may actually be dated to. So yeah, it does seem pretty convenient that in that exact time you have a constellation that sort of resembles the Sphinx. Obviously, the Leo is a lion. That it just happens to be facing in that spot, just many years before, like thousands of years before. So I suppose that's like another piece of evidence that would go towards the idea that the Sphinx is actually way older as well.
Mm-hmm.
And
Absolutely.
it does seem like they seem to have a fascination with the stars anyway, which is strange. It's very interesting.
Yeah, it's no consolation.
Agricultural societies would have a fascination for the stars because it was their best way of predicting when floods would occur, because the River Nile would flood, and then as it receded, all the rich soil would give them their farming soil, basically. So they had to be able to predict the floods, or else they wouldn't have been able to farm and thrive. So I think Mayan culture was kind of the same. They needed to predict the weathers to really thrive with their agriculture.
And same with Native Americans.
Yeah, exactly. Same with the Chinese too. They all needed to look at the stars, figure out what cycles, where the moon was, where the sun was, etc.
Meanwhile, modern day America, we look at Hollywood stars.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. How times have changed.
Yeah, how times have changed. So while we're at it, I'm going to share with you probably the coolest thing I found out today. This was part of the Ancient Aliens panel that I really liked. So I found out this was an article, New York Times, December 16, 2017. I'm not going to read the whole thing for fair use purposes, but the Pentagon spent $22 million on advanced aerospace threat identification program in its $600 billion annual defense budget. So it actively investigated reports of unidentified flying objects, man. So, this is way past Project Blue Book. For those of you who don't know about Project Blue Book, it was the first government program created to investigate UFO phenomenon, basically to try to dismiss UFO phenomenon. And I believe there were maybe tens of thousands of cases and about 716 or so cases of sightings back then just couldn't be explained. But that was, after Project Blue Book, I believe there was something else, but after that, there was nothing. So now we find out there's been something the whole time, even now, called Advanced Aerospace Threat Identification Program. It's hilarious and it's crazy.
Why am I not surprised at this?
And I don't blame the government. I mean, if there potentially are UFOs, I mean, you better investigate them. What if they're Russian or Chinese, right? So, but it's all the secrecy. That's the thing.
Well, I mean, like whenever people tell me about I just wish that Area 51 would be more accessible to the general mass, or that the government wouldn't keep so many secrets. But in the back of my mind, I'm saying, how many people do we truly know would be able to handle what would be put out? Like, if there was an actual report that, aliens do exist, this does happen, all those sightings were real, those weren't just tests done by the US government for new jets and planes, those are actual aliens and we're trying to find out where they're coming from. What would happen? Would anarchy break out?
Yeah, I don't know. And related to your question, Nick Pope was on the panel for many of the Ancient Alien talks. Nick Pope, he worked for I believe the British Defense Ministry, so he knows stuff. And he says some guy in the audience really went at him. They're like, dude, why don't you disclose more, man? Why don't you stop being a government shill? And Nick's like, I'm not being a government shill. It's just things I've sworn to secrecy. I have to honor it. So potentially it's like what you said, maybe deep down at heart, he feels like the public isn't ready to handle whatever he knows.
Yeah, I doubt people would be able to keep their heads on figuring, like, I don't know, people would sort of, I don't know. One thing that happened recently was when Elon Musk launched a rocket, or a test rocket, and the sort of the flares that came out of it, people almost immediately assumed it was aliens, and they were going crazy on social media. And that wasn't even a hoax or anything. And so if it were to actually come out that there was a real alien invasion, I'm sure people would lose their minds. I don't know how you'd be able to read, because I don't know, a lot of our society is predicated on I don't know. Obviously, there's billions of religious people, and I think something like aliens would just really. I don't know how those people would be able to reconcile their beliefs.
Start worshiping them.
Yeah, whether they'd start worshiping them, or whether it would just really deteriorate the entire structure, because nowhere in these religions doesn't mention. Well, okay, you could say something like, oh, they may even say, oh, maybe the angels were the aliens. And even in like ancient Hindu scriptures and things like that, they believe, some of them believe that the beings were like aliens or something like that. I remember going to a few temples and they spoke about something like that. We never know. That there's so many ways that people can take the idea of aliens. It's hard to predict, I suppose.
Yeah, and talking about that, remember when War of the Worlds was on the radio, Orson Welles' broadcast of War of the Worlds? Apparently it actually got some people to panic, etc. So, but then that was back in the day, right? That was a long time ago. And the other thing I wanted to bring up, a very quick philosophical point, which is the whole existence of a government, especially our modern concept of a nation state, is that you give up your security for them keeping you safe in exchange for you also giving up certain rights, like you have to pay taxes, you have to follow police and army, etc. So if it turns out that they can't really keep us safe because there's fucking aliens that are going to invade, that contract's gone. So like Raptor Chick said, maybe it would lead to anarchy, because then people, especially the more free libertarian-minded people, be like, well, fuck you. You've been lying to us all these years, and we've been paying taxes to you. Fuck you guys. I'm not listening to you guys anymore. So I'm thinking about it from that social contract angle.
Yeah, because have the LA riots all over again.
Exactly.
And like recently with the whole Earth is flat debate and movement, like people who are really hardcore about that, they're just completely disregarding the government and like all the rules and all the guidelines and procedures, and then it's going straight to Antarctica, try to see if they can find the end of the world. And if that's just a glimpse of what people can actually do with that obscene amount of information, then what would they do with things that are confirmed to be true?
Yeah. So one thing, Alex needs to go soon, but I wanted to share this article that he shared with us real quickly. And Vaughn, I know you need to go soon.
It was me who needed to go soon.
Oh, okay, Vaughn. Okay, yeah, if you need to go, just go anytime. We love you, so join us next time. But this is an article that Alex shared. Has our government spent $21 trillion of our money without telling us? Interesting. So this guy, Lawrence Kotlikoff, and let's see, Alex, do you remember what the consensus or the summary TLDR of this was?
From what I remember, some Michigan economist was investigating the Department of Defense's like accounting records, and found there were like 21 trillion like unaccounted spending, like nodes or something, and it was apparently some sort of dark secret projects that they weren't really.
I see
what people. It was like what it was.
Right there, 2.1 trillion a year, or 2.1 in year. I don't know if that's correct grammar, but in year end, in year end unsupported adjustments. So there was adjustments to the budget that equaled 2.1 trillion. Oh, damn. So 2 trillion in charges to the Army General Fund balance. Oh, by the way, guys, I showed this to you guys one time, but if you look at the Pentagon, you can actually look at their daily contracts. So let me show you guys this. So you go to the Defense Department. Where is it? There it is. Look at the contracts. So every day you can see all the contracts they've made here. So that's pretty cool. But again, if that's true according to what you're saying, then not all of it's being recorded on there. Unfortunately.
Yeah, and you'd be able to add it up and see the discrepancy.
Exactly. Wow. So that is super interesting. But there is one other thing I wanted to share with you, and I don't remember. Oh, I remember how I took a screenshot of it. So this is something we can watch together. This is called the STS-48 footage. I don't know if you guys have heard about it, but they mentioned it at one of the Ancient Alien panel talks. So let me look at it real quick. STS-48 footage. And so I'm going to share my screen again. You guys might not be able to see it. The frame rate might be a little off, honestly, but let me know if you guys can see anything. So I believe this is it. You guys can probably only see very brief frames, right? I believe that's it. That thing right up there. Let me just jump forward. So those are thunderstorms. So
is that showing the Earth and then?
Yeah, it's showing the Earth. This was, I don't know what shuttle this is, but I don't know what it's talking about. Okay, that was, according to the panel, it looked like they were trying to shoot down a UFO, but I don't see that. So let's play this. I mean, I don't think it's this. This is an artifact on the camera. So this is like a camera.
Like a smudge on the screen.
Yeah, like a smudge. I don't think it's that. So what are they talking about?
Although, speaking of space satellite video, I find it weird that sometimes, you know, like with the 24-hour space cams that NASA has or that some other countries' space programs have, at some points in time, they were mysteriously cut off, and then they regrouped about 20 minutes later after it was all the same time too, like just a consensus, and people took stills of right before it cut off, and there was like this corner of a mysterious kind of like shuttle ship thing. They just cut. I'm like, oh, well, that's oddly weird. But okay.
Yeah, exactly. So let's see. I'm going to try to access the NASA TV right now, see what they have. I'm really actually curious.
Do they have a live stream up right now?
I think so. My friend Rob might want to join. Let me see if Rob's going to join.
Oh, cool.
Oh no, Rob doesn't want to join. NASA TV. I'm looking at NASA TV right now. NASA live stream. Oh, there it is. I don't know if this is it. So I see a live feed, and this, I'm going to share it with you guys right here. I don't know if this is the one, but this is on a different channel. This is not a NASA channel. Maybe it is. Hey, Keo, he's going to work. Never mind. Keo said he wanted to join, but he's going to work. But guys, I put it in the description for those of you watching. I don't know if this is the NASA live feed, but it looks like it. Interesting. So it actually has a schedule that's way off. It has 2017 schedules, so nobody's been updating this.
How do you know that it's not just a replay?
Exactly. Man, we're becoming conspiracy theorists.
Games for District 13, it was the same loop clip every single year.
Oh wow.
And then that's how Katniss discovered that the District 13 wasn't actually destroyed.
Oh, interesting. I haven't seen the last book in the Hunger Games, so now I know. No, it's okay. I got tired of it. I didn't want to.
Yeah, I watched all of them, but I forgot about what happened. Well, I can sort of give a general overview, but it just seems like the last two movies were quite jumbled, in my opinion.
Yeah, the books, they're way more concise, and they let you follow the plot, and all works together more like a jigsaw puzzle. But the movies, really the only accurate one to the book was the second one, Catching Fire. The rest of them were just all over the place.
I heard the first movie made Katniss a lot less active, or it made her more passive, because in the book she's the one that fires the arrow that kills the guy who later kills Gru, right? But in the movie, the guy first throws the spear before she fires the arrow, so it looks like she's always the one reacting. She never has any agency in the first one.
Well, it was more like at the same time in the book, like whenever, because Rue was stuck in the trap, it wasn't immediately that she found her. She was yelling for a good 10 minutes or so. Katniss finally went over there. She saw the guy about to kill her, so she shot her arrow, but it was too late because she already threw it.
Oh, I see. Interesting.
So she was more defensive, but also one thing that I honestly wish that they would have had was my favorite scene in the book was in the first book anyway. That after she shot the netting for the apples and they landed all on the mines, and blowing up the career's food supply, her ear blew off because of the blast. And so she had to sit there with night vision goggles on in order to try to stabilize her, because of course when your ear is messed up, you can't really balance or walk very well. So she actually sat there and napped right outside of the career's area. She could have been easily killed, but she's like, you know what, forget it. And she sat there for half of the afternoon, and then went to go find her.
Interesting.
Cut that entire part out.
By the way, is my mic good? Because I just accidentally dropped it.
Yeah, it's fine.
Yeah, it's fine. Yeah.
Cool. I'm just texting Rob real quick. I want to get him to join.
Oh, no problem.
Yeah. Anyways, yeah. So
I heard something else about Hunger Games. This is a sort of a side thing. Do you know when Rue gets killed? Apparently, the dogs that appear after have her eyes or something like that.
Oh yeah. Okay.
That would have been cool to see.
That's one thing that I was also mad about in the first movie, because every single dog was supposed to be the Capitol's twisted and demonic way of getting to the survivors, because every single mutt was a half-breed of the human that they either killed or was their friend.
Oh shit.
Yeah, and then they mix it up with this werewolf type body. So whenever Rue, quote unquote, went up to Katniss, they also injected them with the memories of the people. So they automatically went and hunted the people that they loved the most.
Wow. That detail is completely lost, of course.
Yeah, of course. And so whenever Rue, quote unquote, was chasing Katniss, she looked back because, for some reason, she looked back and she saw Rue's hair and eyes in the mutt.
Wow.
Yeah, that would have made the movie so much better. That little thing.
Because it would have made it more personal. She can't just kill the dog because she feels like she's responsible for a death partly, and then you see that's just another level of deepness right there.
Yeah, so it makes it harder in order to kill the mutts, because as soon as you kill them, you kill the last chance that you have of taking them back.
Wow. Dude, that was completely lost.
That's so fucked up. That's the reason why I love the author, for her just vividry and imagination whenever it came up with the actual plot. Just because there were so many layers to the book that were completely skipped over inside of the movies. Well, I mean, a lot of movies do that. I mean, I'm not even going to acknowledge that Percy Jackson movies exist. So let's just.
I don't even know about Percy Jackson, honestly. So I wouldn't know.
Movies do not exist. I don't know. There never was anything. I'm sorry.
I saw the first one, and I saw the second one, and then I fell asleep or something like that. I can't remember what happened, but apparently my friend told me that the books are way better than the movies.
Oh, so much better. And at the end of the first book, like the two main characters were supposed to kiss, but in the movie they just had a sword fight. I'm like, what is this?
Well, that could be flirting too.
But no, they were way past flirting.
Yeah, that's true. I don't know the plot of the movie, so I'm just guessing.
They went to the underworld in order to get Zeus's thunderbolt, in order to not start a giant war between the gods. I'm pretty sure this is past flirting at this point.
Oh, I see. Wow.
Well, it was a PG, so you know.
That's true.
But they had an iPhone promotion for killing Medusa and holding up her head, and that's still PG.
This is terrible CGI.
Yeah, it was so terrible. And then Medusa was like in full body leather, like biker suit. I'm like, what is this? Like, she was supposed to be an older lady.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. I'm a very big book nerd.
I can tell. So, Adriana, in the comments or in the live chat, you're walking in on a discussion about aliens, etc. And we jumped briefly into literature because a lot of literature covers a lot of the science fiction and all that. And, you know, talking about literature and aliens, John Carpenter, man, that was a flop, that movie.
John who?
John Carpenter. John Carpenter? No, not John. What was it called? John Carter. John Carter. Not John Carpenter, the director. John Carter.
Oh, yeah. The guy that goes to Mars, doesn't he?
Yeah, exactly. John Carter goes to Mars. Cryptimus, by the way, when you said "oh," your thing got really the signal got really weak, and it sounded like a musical progression. It was really funny.
Oh goodness. It's the aliens again, man.
Yeah.
Oh, there you go. They're interfering. They know.
Paul Slack is talking about Nightfall by Isaac Asimov. Wow, I gotta check that out. Isaac Asimov, for those of you who know, did I, Robot. So that was the Will Smith movie. But Nightfall, I'm looking it up on Wikipedia right now. It's darkness, about the coming of darkness to the people of a planet, ordinarily illuminated by sunlight at all times. Wow. Interesting. I want to read that. And it's 1941. Damn.
I'm trying to think of some more literature connections between aliens, or some similarities to how the media hides.
But looks like Alex dropped. I don't know what happened, but thanks for joining us, Alex. Alex is cool. I'll get him in another. He's so busy, but I'll get him back. Canto Driver's making fun of me for going, oh! Hey, Canto Driver, you want to join us to talk about aliens? By the way, guys, you know there's an Area 52 in addition to Area 51.
Oh, wow. What's that one about? Is it
I don't know, but on the show UFO Hunters, they had an Area 52.
I am not interested. I do not want to be killed by the government for knowing too much. I'm good.
So I'll share with you guys a link here for those of you in the comments or in the live chat. This is Area 52. So I will share my screen and you guys can read with me what Area 52 is about. I knew this guy who was on the show UFO Hunters, and he told me, so I looked him up, and then they tried to go to Area 52 once on the show. So this is Area 52. Of course, clickbait image, but it's also in Nevada. It's giant chamber under Paul T. Mesa. So where's Paul T. Mesa? Whoa, that's a bad misspelling right there. No, maybe it's actually spelled like this. Oh, see, look at that. There's an airstrip here. Hey.
That's where the UFOs land.
That's where the UFOs. Dude, guys, have you guys seen this, by the way? If you go to Groom Lake, where Area 51 is, check this shit out. Look at that. There are some legit airstrips there. Oh, fuck, where'd it go? There, look at that. There are legit airstrips here. This is Area 51, man. You know, they're doing something there, whether it's aliens or they're just testing the next military craft. We don't know, but, like, there is actual airstrips here. It's crazy. And, in fact, when I looked up Groom Lake back 5 years ago, it wasn't this developed. There was maybe this and this. That's it. Now there's all this other stuff. This is crazy.
I wonder what it must be like to actually work there.
I know. How much secrecy?
I heard that people who work there, they all die before they're 50.
Oh, shit.
But then again, that's like...
Carlos Garcia made a pun. He said, Nirvana. Nirvana, like Nirvana? Nirvana, where Buddhist aliens land.
Peace and love for all.
Carlos, man, you want to join our talk? You've always tuned in, but you've never joined. Carlos, if you want to join, let us know.
You sound like a pretty funny dude.
Oh, man. So let me see. I'm gonna tell Rob to join. I'm really curious because Rob's from Arizona. Maybe he can tell us about his experiences, if he's seen any aliens. If any of you have seen aliens or had UFO phenomenon, please let us know.
Oh, there's been a few times where I've looked in the sky and I've seen I've sort of seen something move, or maybe I convinced myself that something was moving. I'm not sure.
It's a bird.
But it was strange nonetheless. That's all I can say. My other sort of experience with aliens would have to be when I was on shrooms. So.
It's the game with the other side, man.
Yeah.
Wow.
But that's also another interesting theory that they may have found a way to communicate with us through the mushrooms, and that's the sort of Terence McKenna theory that I really like listening to, and just before I go to bed on occasion. Very interesting guy.
Yeah.
Well, you keep your shrooms. I think I'm going to stick with my happiness as my drug.
Happiness pills. Yeah.
Just high on life.
Yeah.
Oh, I actually have thought of another book. There's this book called The City of Ember. I don't know if anybody else has read it.
I've seen the movie where they're all on the ground.
Oh, the book and the movie again. Oh, the movie.
City of Ember, you said?
Yeah. It's called The City of Ember.
Ah.
And the cover is brown and it has a light bulb on it, like a very shimmery light bulb.
Oh, I see.
So the concept of this movie, not movie, but the book, was that they're in an underground civilization. Yes, you've seen the movie, but what they don't tell you in the movie is that throughout the book, everybody is given jobs and careers that they have to fulfill throughout their lives and whatnot. But their whole town is breaking down, and if they run out of light, and they can't grow any crops, and therefore they all die. So in the book, they're kind of like an orb of light underground, just like how we are an orb of light in the center of our galaxy from what we can see, basically. And in the book, one guy was like, you know what, forget this. I have to know what's out there, because outside of the realm, it was just darkness. So he ran out there and he came back 1 or 2 weeks later. He's saying, there's nothing out there. It's just darkness. I barely able to find my way back. I need food. And he says to this, I need light. Where is the light? And so the book went through this entire series of events where they were actually there 200 years past the date where they were supposed to go back up to the surface of the earth. But the mayor was trying to save himself from an illness, so much so to where he hid the box that was supposed to unlock 200 years after they moved underground. So long story short, they find the box, go through all these puzzles and things, and then they find out that they weren't actually in the center of the universe. They were actually just underground. And then afterwards, they brought out all of their friends and family, and that's where all the second book started. It's a 3-book series. I highly recommend it for anybody in the chat. It's really good.
They didn't know they were on the ground the whole time.
Sorry, sweetheart, you just cut out.
I was just asking, so you're saying that they didn't know they were underground? Is that
No, not until the very end.
Oh,
it's almost like Hollow Earth theory.
So in the movie, they just make it clear that they're underground from the beginning.
Yeah, which defeats half of the plot of the book because they're trying to figure out where they are.
Right. Okay.
In the beginning, just like, twist. Oh, we're an underground society. It's like, what? Don't reveal that automatically.
That would have been the biggest plot twist ever to see in a movie. Oh my god.
Basically, that's why I always encourage people to read books, because movies they don't do it justice a lot of the times, and I get sad.
Interesting. So Paul Slack is a really knowledgeable guy. I don't know how old you are, Paul. I think you're in your 60s, right? But Paul was talking about the star Canopus, which is also known as Alpha Carinae, and it's the brightest star in the southern constellation of Carina and the second brightest star in the night sky after Sirius. And apparently what Paul says is that Canopus is often confused for a starship, and Venus and Mars are also sometimes confused with a starship. Yeah, it makes sense. A lot of the sightings turn out to be Venus or something, because those Venus or Mars or some of the bright stars really twinkle, and it almost looks like they move. So very interesting. I didn't know about Canopus. Thank you so much, Paul.
Oh, how interesting.
I told Paul to come join us on the hangout one day, but apparently he doesn't know how to join. So yeah, but Canopus. There's so many. If you look at the Earth's precession, so because the Earth is tilted, right? So if you look at how a top spins when tilted, it's called a precession. And so even though we're pointed at whatever star that's called now, eventually, because the Earth has this type of spin too, millions of years, we're actually going to point towards a different star. It's really interesting. So
it proceeds, or it precesses, whatever the term is, at the rate of 1 degree every 72 years or something.
Yeah, something like that. Extremely small.
Yeah. So in order to go 360 degrees, it takes like 30,000 years or something like that.
Yeah, exactly. And eventually we're going to face another star. That's all I know. I forgot which star we're supposed to face, but we're going to face another star eventually.
Yeah. Apparently we're moving into a new thing. I can't remember what the age. Maybe that has something to do with the age of Aquarius or something like that. That's what I heard.
Oh yeah, a lot of astrologers and stuff like that talk about that too. Yeah, because we're eventually going to slowly point towards a different star. And guys, this is for those of you watching. This is different from the Earth's tilt wobble. The tilt wobbles are much more is not as a long-term thing as the precession changing. It's complicated, man. Astronomy is complicated. That's why it's so hard for us to predict weather or climate or anything.
Especially in Texas.
Especially in Texas. There it is. I found it. So the previous pole star was called Kochab. So right now we're pointing towards wherever we're pointing. So, oh wow. So 3000 BC, the Thuban was the pole star. Holy shit. Okay. Vega. So Polaris is the North Star right now. Wow, this is so interesting. Let me share with you guys this. This is so interesting. So for those of you in the live chat, this is the Earth's precession. But so that's so interesting. I'm a huge astronomy nerd. I still am. I see. So we point towards Polaris, and then sometimes we'll point more towards Vega. I got it now. And then Deneb's the other star that it was talking about. Okay. So interesting. But anyway, sorry, I forgot to ask our girl here, Raptor Chick, where are you watching from, by the way?
Me? I'm from Texas.
Oh, that makes sense. That's why you made the Texas joke.
Yeah. Because last week...
fuck, my mic.
Oh, are you okay?
Yeah, I'm good. I keep dropping my mic. Let me push my screen a little farther. Yeah, anyways, it won't fall again.
Okay, good. Oh, well. Anyways, but last week, I kid you not, of course, it's Texas in the summer, so it's humid as I'll get out, hot as hell. and it was 98 plus degrees with a heat index of something. And it started to hail. I don't know how, I don't know why, but it hailed like 3 inches of hail balls just fell from the sky. And I'm sitting over here like, how it was 98 degrees 20 minutes ago. And then after about 45 minutes of hail and rain and thundering and lightning, it just stopped, and then it was sunny again. I'm like, where is this? Why is this happening?
Climate change.
Global warming. Ice age.
Maybe
it's really funny though. They predicted before the current hockey puck model, a lot of people thought we were going to be in an ice age. So
yeah,
that's a very
apparently we're never going to be in an ice age ever again due to our impact on the
due to our impact. But before the hockey puck model of climate change, there were articles that thought we were going to be in an ice age. It's really funny. I'll have to show you some of that.
Oh, I would love an ice age right about now. It's
like the 1980s, I believe they were predicting we were being in.
I'm guessing one of the reasons for that would be because of the luminosity of the sun decreasing or something like that.
I'm looking up the research right now. Let's see what. Yeah. So I'm looking at. So a Time magazine in 1974 said the atmosphere has been growing gradually cooler for the past 3 decades. 1975, Newsweek said, what the hell? Sorry, I'm just reading. The evidence in support of these predictions of global cooling has now begun to accumulate so massively that meteorologists are hard-pressed to keep up with it. And then late 20th century cooling predictions. Oh, I don't know. I mean, but I think there is irrefutable evidence now that the Earth is warming. It's just what's causing it that's still a matter of debate. But the Earth is warming. I think everyone knows that. You just look at our ice caps now. It's pretty sad. Although economically it might be good. We have a new shipping route to go directly from Canada and Alaska to Russia that way.
I'm sure if trillions of dollars worth of land gets flooded, that will be economically bad as well.
Yeah, exactly. So cost-benefit analysis. I haven't done the research recently, but
and also the cost of our oceans just being kind of degrading in a way because now since the polar bears are becoming endangered, they have been endangered for a long time. Like when one chain of the ecosystem starts becoming just wow. I can't talk right now. Wow. But when one area fails, it becomes a domino effect.
Yeah, exactly.
So like
it's a food chain. The word you're looking for is food chain. There's a reason it's called food chain or food pyramid because it all depends. The alpha predator checks the beta predator, and the beta predator, they basically check each other. So if any part of it falls, then something will go out of control.
Yeah, and we're not making it any better as for example, we're overfishing so much.
Oh, that's a big problem. Yes.
And so now so now even recently in California, there have been a lot more bull shark attacks because bull sharks are now going up to almost inches of water super close to the shoreline just to try to find food.
Yeah.
And over here, why do they have to do that? Like, there should be no reason, especially, and even with bald eagles, because I'm studying in order to be an ornithologist, which is a raptor scientist.
Oh, wow.
And bald eagles, they're starting to be on the decline as well, our national bird, because, of course, people forget that that they're fishing eagles. So a lot of the times when they migrate up to Alaska, or some of them do, they hunt on different types of fish, like or say salmon. Recently, a lot of the migration patterns, because salmon has to go back to the same river that it was born in order to lay their eggs. And in the time, of course, bears are the whole like, oh, catching it from a waterfall scene that they show hundreds of times. But since that population of fish is declining, a lot of the animals that rely on that, they're on the decline too. And then so it kind of goes into this downward spiral of, okay, well, do you want gratification now, or do you actually want the Earth to be here for our 5th generation after us?
Yeah. I remember articles and studies from a few years ago that said the Earth might run out of, the oceans might run out of fish by 2050 or something like that. But I was looking to see if there's been any recent studies, and there hasn't been within the past few years since I remember hearing that news. So, but there's also, which is very interesting, I was just looking at The Guardian. It's not just overfishing, but it's also dissolved oxygen levels due to climate change, which is very interesting.
Well, yeah, because, well, for one thing, okay, people don't know this, but trees don't contribute to the majority of our oxygen in our atmosphere. It's these little microorganisms in the water. They are created by a balanced ecosystem. Yeah, and they created, I believe it was like 90% of the world's oxygen is created by them. So you're sitting over here like, okay, well, if we need this to have oxygen, why are we overfishing, and why are we depleting the numbers of microorganisms? I don't understand.
Wow, this is so interesting. I'm just reading it while you're talking about it now.
Yeah,
so,
I don't know the exact science, but apparently, like, the more I don't know, there's something to do with the acidification of the ocean because of
exactly. That's what I'm looking at right now. Acidity, because as there's more carbon in the atmosphere, more of it gets dissolved in the oceans. So it's something, I forgot what the chemical formula is, but it makes the oceans slightly more acidic.
Yeah. And that doesn't even have to factor in the whole food chain argument, because
that's why our coral reefs are getting destroyed, because they build their shells on calcium carbonate. So if your oceans are more acidic, there's less stuff to build your shells on. I don't think that's only one of the reasons why the coral reefs are getting destroyed. There's a lot of other reasons, but ocean acidification definitely doesn't help.
And that will only lead to the positive feedback loop, which will make it exponentially worse.
Exactly.
Humans need to get their shit together.
Yeah. Oliver Quinn makes a very cool point. He says, we aren't just in a Goldilocks zone, we're also in a Goldilocks era, it's very interesting what he said, but it's true. It's like this current era we're in is not going to last. Oliver Quinn, man, you win tonight. That's a really good quote you just made.
That is, I'm going to tattoo that on my armpit.
Exactly. And 9GAG, hey, that's a funny name. 9GAG says we're running out of fossil fuel by 2053. I don't know the exact date, but I'm sure it's going down. So everyone's panicking. And that's probably the only reason, honestly, why people are investing more money and time into alternative fuels, because all the rich old people who used to not give a damn realize they might still be alive when it happens. So they realize, oh, fuck, they don't give a fuck about our grandchildren. They just care about themselves and their grandchildren. But once they realize that it might affect them, that's when it happened. I think that's secretly why there's a shift now.
And one of the arguments that Elon Musk is saying is that it's not if we run out of fossil fuels, is when. So we might as well start to make the transition now.
Exactly. I really hope that we can get to Mars in 20 or however many years that Elon wanted in that Mars project.
Yeah, this is what I was saying in the first hangout when I spoke to, I can't remember what the other guy's name was, but I was basically saying, I'd want to go to Mars as soon as possible because I don't think we're going to get our shit together in time.
Yeah. I think it was Joseph. Joseph has disappeared. I don't know where he's been, but it was Joseph you were talking to. Yeah. But hey, Alex, if you're still there, is anyone in labs or anything? Are they in labs around you? Sorry, I lost my train of thought for a second. Is there any labs around you that are investigating sort of how to deal with global warming? I don't know if Alex is still there. Maybe he's not there. But I'm really curious what technologies, because there's so many weird and probably a lot of whack reasons or whack. What's the word I'm looking for? Whack proposals as to how to cool the planet down. Like there's one where you like drop copper or some weird substance near the Arctic to get more algae to grow, so more carbon dioxide gets sucked in or something. There's a bunch of weird proposals like that. So I'm wondering if there's more scientifically sound proposals being developed.
Well, from my knowledge, I don't know.
Fans, massive giant fans.
Undergrad, so I can't say for sure there's anything like that. But as far as on my level, I don't know.
I'm going to read some of this. So, proposals to cool down the planet. There it is. Here we go. Here we go. It's a recent one too.
I suppose one would be like how to.
Hey, bro, you have to go to a better spot. You keep tuning out. You keep dropping. Can you hear me, Cryptimus? Okay, cool. Yeah. So let's look at some of the asteroid dust to block the sun's light. Yeah, I don't think that's a good idea. What the fuck are you?
Why would you?
I've heard about a solar shield, by the way. So you basically partially use satellites to partially block the sun in some areas. I've heard about that. Plastic in the oceans? No fucking way, dude. Do not fucking put more plastic in anywhere. Dude, that's no fucking no. By the way, guys, you know that they're discovering plastic in a lot of fish species or plastic and salt, I believe, because we have so much plastic pollution.
What?
Yeah, plastic in the oceans. What kind of shrooms are you smoking, man?
Actually, like a few hundred miles off the coast of California, people don't know this, but there is a trash island just composed of partially decayed trash bags and plastic bags that are created by the world, a very small whirlpool from the currents moving up and down on the earth.
Yeah. Yeah. There's a bunch of these because the way the oceans flow in the world, there are places, I don't know what they're called, but there are places where the ships don't. I'm not the ship, sorry. I'm thinking ahead of myself. There are places where the currents don't move. That's why back in the day, certain ships would get stuck there, and they'd be like, "Fuck!" I believe they're. I don't remember. I think the doldrums, but that's air cycles. I'm thinking of something else. But basically, the water currents, they're places where they don't move. And so trash accumulates there. There's these trash zones all around the earth. It's crazy. I'm going to search them up right now.
Yeah, it's completely insane. Honestly, I think the world should follow Japan's example with this one thing. Japan made an entire trash island that is now an inhabitable place.
Oh, wow.
I feel that if we create, if every country kind of pitched in order to create islands and inhabitable places for more humans to live out of trash, it wouldn't necessarily get rid of the problem, but it would kind of help. I mean, considering how big it to be inhabitable for people, but.
Yeah.
Okay, how is my signal now?
Your signal's good. We can hear you better. But again, if it starts doing the funny vibrato thing, we'll let you know again.
Okay, cool.
Kanto Driver says they should make a galactic air conditioner for Earth. So, hey, Jin's joining us. Welcome, Jin. So, All Things Expendable actually makes a good point too. That our planet actually hasn't been the warmest it's ever been. There's been lots of periods in the past where our planet's actually been warmer. So that's absolutely true. That's something to keep in mind too.
Like ice ages. Okay, this might be a dumb ice ages. Then are there like warm ages?
Yeah, they're absolutely. He mentioned the Roman warm period. I realize I don't have my sources with me, but when I was looking up climate patterns back in the day, I actually found amazing charts from NOAA and stuff like that. Let me go to my history channel. I have a little history channel that I never update, but let me go to my history channel, and I hope I saved my research there. I really hope I did, because if you look at the charts, like all things Expendable says, there's actually really interesting graphs. And oh, there it is. I have it. Okay, perfect. Oh my God, I get to show you the stuff that never got seen because, okay, here we go. Let's do this. Oh my God, all things Expendable, you win tonight too. I get to geek out on climate charts. Watch this, guys. So this is my GeoExplore Histories channel. This is global temperatures. This is the last 100 years. So if you look at the last 100 years, this is land ocean temperature index. It looks pretty bad. So if you go here, this is the temperature anomaly within, this goes back 800,000 years. So you look, it seems more cyclical. So some stages, we're right now about 4 degrees above what's quote unquote supposed to be. And then if you look at other places, there's been other times where more than 4 degrees or more than currently anomalous. So I'll put all of these in the description. So I don't know why I went, oh, this is the one. So if you look at the deep ocean temperature, it looks like they're actually, if you go back, so I believe it, yeah, exactly. So you're going back here. So this is the time of the dinosaurs. Of course, if you remember the time of the dinosaurs, there wasn't snow anywhere, right? So at least in some periods. So it looks like after the dinosaurs disappeared, even in the Eocene epoch, they're actually, and then of course we had the Ice Age. Again, it's been a while since I've looked at this, so I might be looking at some of this wrong. But again, guys, I will link all of this. So this is global temperature. If you measure it by carbon dioxide level, look at carbon dioxide level changing. And then you can look at change in temperature in the Antarctic. And the way they look at the temperature changes is by looking at the layers and layers of the ice. What do you call it? The glaciers, the layers and layers of glaciers. So the temperature also seems to have been, this is thousands of years, by the way, not like years, but thousands of years. So it seems to have, it varies, and it once was hotter. So if you look here, again, guys, I'm using NASA. Like this is Harvard, so I'm not like using any BS sources. This is the solar irradiance. So the sun changes, and I think Raptor Chick talked about it. So the sun changes about every 11 years or so, but the change in the sunspot cycle also changes the solar output. So this is something to keep in mind. And if you look here, there's been changes. Well, no, never mind. This is not. This is how much of solar / galactic output actually reaches us. So that doesn't matter. And then you look here. By the way, I hope I'm sharing my screen. Yes, I'm sharing my screen. This is called the El Nino. I forgot what it's called. So the El Nino is an ocean pattern that sometimes brings in more moisture and warmer weather, and sometimes brings in colder weather and less moisture. So the El Nino patterns, see, it changes. So look at this. So sometimes it's more El Nino, sometimes it's more La Nina. So again, these affect how the temperature, at least in North America, is. So this is El Nino. Look at the ocean current. Look at La Nina. So if you look here, it's a little small, but so that's El Nino right there. So we're in El Nino. This is El Nino, and then you should see it change to La Nina. So that's like intense El Nino right there. and then it should change to La Nina eventually. Like you see now, it's La Nina. So that changes at least North American temperatures. So now if you look at ENSO, basically stands for El Nino. I forgot what it stands for, like what the acronym stands for, but so you can look at how it changes a lot throughout the years. And I think it's actually this one that shows the data. So I don't remember, but guys, I will link all of this. So like all things Expendable says, it's very complicated. There is no doubt that we're warming, but like all things Expendable said and corroborated by a bunch of climate/ocean data, the Earth has been hotter in the past, not in the recent past per se, but like a long time ago. So just because the Earth is getting hotter is not for us to be concerned that it's getting hotter. It's just for us to be concerned that, God damn it, we humans might not survive. The Earth will be fine. Animals will adapt and die off, but we humans might not adapt and die off. That's basically the lesson to that.
Or we might be contributing in order to accelerate it.
We could, yeah, but
I think that's the argument for most climate scientists. They say, well, the climate's always been changing, but this time it's because of us. And considering the fact that most of our societies are sort of built assuming that things don't really change that much, we're not really going to be in a good position once this does get out, or once we do reach a tipping point.
So I would say an argument potentially against that is if you look at carbon levels actually have been higher in the past too, even without Anthropocenic, I believe is the right word, causes, so without human causes. So that would be, a skeptic would argue that. They would say, but look, it has been higher in the past. Why is that? And there weren't humans on Earth to burn fossil fuel.
Well, I think the argument would be that, well, that the sort of the levels of carbon in the atmosphere has been higher, but the luminosity of the sun has been lower in the past, and it's sort of gradually gotten stronger and stronger. And then over time, the amount of carbon in the atmosphere has been like weathered out into what's it? I think it's limestone or something like that.
Into different things, into the oceans, into limestone, et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah. So it's a natural process. It's been weathered out of the atmosphere slowly over the course of millions of years, and now we've seen, just an incredible uptick conveniently when we've been shooting up carbon from the atmosphere.
Yeah, exactly. So the argument is based on the rate at which we're adding carbon dioxide into the Earth, because into the atmosphere, because we know that there's something called a greenhouse effect. So it's like you then extrapolate. You're like, if we add it too quickly, what's going to happen? So yeah, that's absolutely a climate. What's the right word? A climate. I don't want to say believer. That sounds like it's like religion. What's the right word? A climate change supporter, I guess, would say.
Yeah, and also another thing is that when you look at the amount of carbon that's been added to the atmosphere, I believe scientists are able to look at the actual isotopes that contribute to that, and of the three distinct ones, the one that sort of that has the largest percentage is what you'd find when you're burning fossil fuels, and the other, which takes up a smaller percentage, has to do with like natural causes like volcanoes and stuff. So even without like inserting humans into it, you know that what would be attributed to that specific isotope is the burning of fossil fuels, and that's obviously what we've been doing over the past 200 years.
Oh, that's interesting. So, if you can find that study of isotopes, that would be something I would love to link and read.
Yeah, sure.
Same here. I would love to read about that.
Yeah, because then that's actual good evidence that humans are contributing the majority of greenhouse gases.
Yeah. Let me see if I can find that right now, actually.
So it's interesting. It's so cool that we got into this talk, which is actually perfect for the discussion because, again, in the SETI talk I went to, bringing it back to the Alien Con, the guy at SETI was saying, hey, why don't aliens contact us, blah, 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 blah. And, some people could say, well, maybe we're not ready, right? So we're such a we're such a juvenile civilization, et cetera, et cetera. So maybe once we fixed this whole burning or non-sustainable burning of fuels, maybe they'll contact us. But again,
they discriminate against.
I just want someone to save us.
I think honestly, if I was an alien and of course, I'm assuming that if aliens do exist, which I'm pretty sure they do, they don't have the same morals as us.
Yeah, exactly.
They have like different, like attitudes towards things. An alien that was more, say, sadistic, I would just sit there and like kind of watch what humans do. I feel like it would be more instead of just completely destroying a planet at one time to watch you destroy yourself.
Yeah, that's true.
Maybe they watch us in the same way that we watch reality TV.
Yeah. You know what? They're just eating popcorn. Just intergalactic popcorn.
And think about this, right? Maybe they're so advanced that they're able to upload their minds indefinitely. So instead of living in a span of 100 or 120 years like humans do, they can live in a span of 1,000,000 years. You know, they want to decide, I don't want to live anymore. They'll turn themselves off. But they basically don't have what's called a lifespan. So maybe they're actually observing the entire human species birth and maybe death in their lifespan because their sense of time is different. Just like we can observe the life of a fruit fly, you know, it's living for about a week and mates, then it creates the next generation. So what's to say they're not doing that to us too? We're doing that to fruit flies and rats, etc.
If that's the case,
that was something really deep, man. I'm gonna get nightmares thinking about that. But I made a pretty deep point.
Okay, here's my hypothesis that I just thought of. Perhaps they are discriminating against societies that aren't at least a type 1 of civilization. So maybe once we do cross that boundary, they'll just sort of appear out of nowhere and be like, hey, here we are. Come and join our intergalactic civilization. Maybe that's what they're doing. They're like, we can't let these fossil fueling these civilization into our ranks. Remember what happened last time? Last time they tried to do this, they killed off this planet or that planet. You never know.
Yeah,
it might be that they may be thinking on those terms.
Well, you know what? Me and my friends. Okay, so my friends and I, because we're science nerds, we just come up with these very obscure kind of theories to things. So of course, there's one theory of of how space and the universe works, about how we might be on a plane with just pictures being displayed. So it could basically be like a giant moving picture. So me and my friends thought that what if we are just like on like an intergalactic Monopoly table and people are just playing games with us?
Dude, that would be freaking crazy, man.
Or like having a bet to see like, oh, which civilization would destroy themselves first? Like that one game where you would have there's this game that a lot of people who are biology majors at my school have to go through in order to have like the certification or pass like a certain class, where there is like 5 things is like with food, where you have to make all of them work together in order to create an ecosystem and a sustainable society. It's a computer job.
What is this called? I want to play this.
Oh, I'd have to email my professor in order to give me the link, but I'll definitely send it to you.
Yeah, please. Discord, we can all play it and see how many of us can design life.
Oh, it's so frustrating.
Remember Sim Earth, man, the first Sim game?
Oh yeah.
I just blow up my cities and stuff like that.
Man, do you know what I used to do on SimCity? We used to have different accounts, and so whenever my sister would piss me off, I'd go into her city and cause like natural disasters.
Dude, that's amazing.
You just cause like the tornadoes to happen for no reason.
Yeah, basically.
I did the same with Roller Coaster Tycoon. I would make the roller coaster crash.
I did the same thing with remember that Facebook game called Cityville?
Oh, I've never played Farmville or Cityville or any of those villes.
Oh man, Cityville is so much fun because you can go and visit other people's cities, but I used to. So my friend and I used to be so close, quote unquote, where we shared each other Facebook passwords. I used to go on her Cityville and just completely make all of her business fail. Or and recently on GTA, I go on her account and like make her stocks fall so that she would like lose it. I'm just like, well, you shouldn't take in the last like swig of soda from the fridge. This is your consequence.
How many people do you live with?
Me?
Yeah.
One's an international student, and one is from Boston, Massachusetts.
Oh wow!
So me and her.
I see. So you have 2 roommates.
Yeah.
By the way, talking about. Sorry, go ahead. Finish your thought first.
Oh! I was just gonna say that since she is from Boston, and I used to live in New York for a while, we kind of clash.
Of course. So I was going to mention a comment that someone wrote in the live chat, but Age of Empires 4 is coming out eventually. So for those of you like city building and all that, Age of Empires 4 is coming out, which is freaking awesome.
I'll stick with my Fortnite.
Fortnite? Never played that before.
It's so much fun. Oh my goodness.
Oh, wow.
It's a where you can build things around you.
Oh, wow. Is it on Steam? Oh, I can download it. What?
Yeah.
It's free?
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, my God. Oh, my God. This is – okay, I am not going to play this, but this is something I'll do if I ever – I have a gaming channel that I never developed, so fuck, Jerry, do not bookmark it. I'm bookmarking it. I don't give a fuck.
Oh man, if you start playing Fortnite, please add me. I will help you.
So is it kind of like Clash of Clans or whatever?
I have not Clash of Clans.
Sorry, not Clash of Clans. Fuck, what is that one called? The one where you can have like a medic and you can have a sharpshooter and you can have the big guy with the machine gun. You guys know what I'm talking about?
Oh, you're talking about Overwatch.
No, the more cartoonish human version of that. Team Fortress. Team Fortress. Is it like Team Fortress?
Oh.
No, I think it seems to be more like those battle royale games.
Oh.
Where you sort of parachute in and then you sort of try to kill each other, but the mechanics are slightly different in Fortnite.
Oh my God, I'm looking at the trailer right now. It looks fucking amazing. There's a lady with like a Harley Quinn hammer. Oh yeah, so you build forts and you defend. And then other people attack.
Uh-huh.
Oh, that's pretty cool. Kind of like Left 4 Dead had that too, where you could play as a zombie or play as a human.
Yeah. And also one thing that I really like is that if sometimes they're not like you're not always fighting or trying to or trying to kill somebody. Mm-hmm. So there are these features in the game where you can throw up emojis or you can have dance parties. Huh. And there's this one thing called a dance ball where if you pay for it and then you throw it, the person next to you has to dance. So what my friends did one time was that they bought a dance ball, and we were fighting someone, and they threw it on them, but had like this glitch to where they can like get right out of its range, so that they weren't affected by it, and we just shot them while they were dancing, forced to dance. It was so bad.
That's pretty funny. Hey, Paul Slack, I have a way of adding you to this talk. I figured out an easy way. Paul, if you can find your Google Plus account, put it in the live chat. That way I can add you on Google Plus, and then I can invite you directly. I just really want to invite Paul. He always contributes so much knowledge whenever in the live chat. So Paul, when you hear this, our current chat is on about, I think, 15 to 30-second delay. So he's going to hear it soon. I hope he gives us his Google Plus, because I really, he's just like, he's constantly writing knowledge and knowledge and knowledge. And he's talking about Eve and Adam right now. Mother of God, Isis, Horus. Look at it. He's talking about stuff like that.
Okay, wow. Jerry, I'm going to link you to an article that I found.
Okay, sure.
About the carbon isotopes.
Oh, perfect! This is awesome.
Yeah, I scanned through it. It seems to have the information that I was looking for, but I'm not entirely sure if it's like an official site. Well, it seems official, but I'm not sure if it has the actual studies linked to it.
Okay. Did you share it in the live chat or share it in the group chat?
I sent it to you on Discord on the.
Oh, on Discord. Okay, let me look real quick. There you are. Okay, realclimate.org. Really interesting. Oh, this was 2004. Let's look at this. So carbon dioxide, isotopes of different atoms of the same chemical. Yeah, so carbon-14, carbon-13, etc. Carbon-13 is about 1% of the total. Carbon-14 only accounts for about 1 in 1 trillion carbon atoms. So isotope geochemists, we could bring in Alex for this. He knows a lot about chemistry. Time variations of carbon-14 and carbon-13. And you can measure that in tree rings, sequences. There are also measurements of trapped ice cores. The tree ring and ice core data both show the total change in the ratio. It's about 0.15%. This sounds very small, but is actually very large relative to natural variability. The results show that the full glacial to interglacial change in that many atmosphere, which took many thousands of years, was about 0.03%, about 5 times less than what's observed in. So which took many thousands of years. Let's look at, so this is, I see. So these are the 3 studies that it referenced. Let's see if we can find this study. And let's see if we can find this study. This is pretty interesting.
What a carbon isotope is basically when 1 or 2 more atoms have the same atomic number, but they have the same number of protons. So it's basically an overloaded carbon atom. Is basically what an isotope is. So, since you were wondering that person in the chat.
Yeah, exactly. So, for those of you watching, like she said, if it has the same number of protons but different number of neutrons, it's an isotope. So you can get certain elements. In fact, many elements, they have 1 or 2 more neutron than what's the most abundantly occurring. So, it's very
carbon-14 is usually used to date, and carbon dating is when you trace things, try to figure out how old they are, and that's how a lot of scientists found out how old dinosaur fossils were and from which era they were from, and typically some information about them as well. Same thing with some archaeological the discoveries that they have found, like say some sphere inside of a cave, or even human skulls that were excavated. They used carbon-14 on them in order to figure out exactly which era they came from. And it other discoveries of, were they Neanderthal, that kind of stuff.
I see. I don't think I can read this article, but I'll link this here. These are the 3 studies it's cited. So I'll link this here. Yeah, it's good that you answered it because someone was like, "What the fuck is a carbon isotope?" So we answered that. That's good.
Cool, cool.
Let's see. So this is another article that it cited. It's another article that it cited. So this is. So this, unfortunately, this one's only 1,000-year record. So this one, I would look at some of the other ones I gave because those have way longer trends. Because one of the things, this is something you learn in statistics, but if you take a little small section of something, you could totally see something crazy, a crazy trend. But if you zoom out more, you can see more variability. So the second article isn't as good. Let's look at the third one. Again, this is like, it's so fun to look at this. I hope everyone watching is having fun. But you look at the time period that, so this is looking at dissolved inorganic carbon. So this is 1970 to 1990. I believe there's actually a different study. Oh, this one actually says, look at that. This one says, this implies the ocean is the dominant net sink for anthropogenic, that's the word, anthropogenically produced CO2. And there's been no significant net CO2 release from the biosphere. Okay, so again, these last two are more just very recent trends. They don't look at millions and millions of years of trends. But this one seems to, since it's looking at tree ring data, at least I believe it's looking a little longer, although it might only go as back as 1600. That's why I wanted to see the original. So, I mean, the source that it came from doesn't have a bias, which is awesome. But until I can confirm that these actually looked at beyond, let's say, 1,000 or 2,000 years, I still have to be a little skeptical of this, just because you have to look at time frames beyond these few thousands of years. But again, it's good to look at the more scientific things. I still see problems with these studies, and part of it is it's hard to determine carbon levels millions of years ago. But if you follow some of those links I have, there seems to be ways. But the problem with these studies is a skeptic would say, well, again, these are just looking at recent years. You got to look at the longer time period. So it's not going to convince a skeptic. That's the problem with these studies.
Well,
but
eventually,
I'm gonna put these in the description if you guys want to look at it anyways.
That's just all educated guesses. So there's nothing really that's set in stone as the truth.
I'd say one of the best YouTubers to listen to on climate change is a guy called what's his name? Pothole 54. He has POTHOLER 54. And he has probably the most in-depth content on climate change that I found online. And every video that he does, he cites all of the articles in the description, which is, and all of the articles and studies in the description, which is very helpful. Yeah, and he tends to go through like the most commonly debunked, the most common arguments from skeptics, and shows studies as to how, I don't know, climate evidence basically.
What is the channel called again? Could you send a link somewhere?
Yeah, I'll send it to you. 1 second. Right, there you go.
But for those of you who want to check the bias, this is a very good site to check media bias. You can put any site in there and it'll give you, sometimes it doesn't have the information, but usually it'll say, hey, is it more right leaning? Is it more left leaning? Is it more conspiracy leaning, etc. is it more pro science?
I just think you have to take everything with a grain of salt. Everybody has a bias in some way, shape, or form.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
But I think what a lot of the consensus for the more accurate scientific discoveries come from is a consensus of multiple people with different kinds of biases towards different areas and allies come together and say, we all agree on this one thing. There must be some kind of truth to it.
Yeah,
which
so
rarely.
A lot of times the wisdom of crowds, right? That's basically the thing. But you also have to be careful, of course.
Yeah.
The crowds used to believe that the sun revolves around the earth. So, like you said, you just have to keep an open mind about things.
And I'm sure people got killed for saying otherwise.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, poor Galileo was under house arrest for many years of his life.
Poor thing.
Oh, this is one, Potholer 54. Right here. Cool.
And Galileo, I believe, was also left-handed, so he was just completely isolated by the Catholic Church.
Oh, man, poor guy.
I know. Coming from a lefty, I understand his pain.
Yeah, same.
Hey, we're suffering together.
Yeah, the struggle is real.
I became
especially
ambidextrous.
all the smudges. You what?
Huh?
You became left-handed, did you say?
Yeah, I became ambidextrous because I was forced to use my right hand for a lot of things, including writing. I went to a Catholic school and they hit my hand whenever I wrote with my left hand because the devil took it over. I don't know.
And now the devil has reclaimed it.
Apparently, I'm living by his word. I'm actually surprised I'm still a Christian after going through that. But I'm Baptist now, so I'm not dealing with the Catholic Church.
I never really know the differences between the two.
Well, there are three sectors of Christianity: the Catholics, the Episcopalians, and then like everyone else. Like Church of Christ, Baptists, and blah 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 blah. Long story short, Catholics are uptight. Episcopalians are just as uptight as Catholics, but they kind of like, oh no, we don't like technically follow the Pope, so like we're kind of laid back. And then Baptists are sitting over here like, we don't even have communion. You can be baptized or not be. We don't care. Come as you are. Kind of thing.
Okay, fair enough.
And bringing this back to the Alien Con, there's apparently this very famous painting from the Middle Ages that seems, it's like a biblical painting, but it seems to show a UFO in the background. I got to show this to you guys.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah. Middle Ages painting, UFO in background. It's really funny. Is that a UFO over Jesus's head? I don't think it's that one. No, there's another one. I don't want to show you guys the one that UFOs invade Renaissance art. Oh, I guess it is this one. It is this one. Let me show you guys real quick. This is really funny. So, you see that? It's a little thing in the background. It looks like a UFO. So, I remember seeing that painting. I remember actually seeing that painting at one of the art. I believe it was the National Art Gallery in D.C. You know, that big one in D.C. I remember seeing that painting. But
another thing is also when you look at some ancient, I believe some of them come from Egypt as well, some ancient sort of drawings and stuff like that, and they say that there's some UFOs in the background as well. So maybe that ties in with the aliens, that kind of thing.
Yeah, let me find, like, Sumerians, apparently. There were some drawings that seemed to show like people in spacesuits or something like that.
Yeah, something like that. And like UFOs, sort of flying saucers as well.
Yeah, there's even in Italy, I'm just looking this over. Let me find the one I was trying to, I think it's this one. No, that's Rama. But But the thing is, it's also a confirmation bias. If you go looking for things, you'll see it. That's the thing about the human mind.
Yeah, exactly.
If I think someone's this, we're gonna find evidence. I remember for a little bit, and Lee actually, I'll invite him on a chat one day. But him and I thought one of our friends was an alien. This was back in 2nd or 3rd grade. And then for like a week, everything we saw in the person we thought just confirmed that he's an alien. and then we realized, no, he's not an alien.
Oh, like that that Yanny versus Laurel thing that went around the internet for a bit.
Tell me about that.
Okay, well, there was this reporting that that this high school student tweeted out. She was looking up a word on like a dictionary app, and so she's like, okay, I found the word, and then when she pressed on how to pronounce it, it was supposed to be I think it was supposed to be Laurel, but she pressed it and then she heard Yanny, and so she's like, wait, this sounds weird. So she posted it like, hey, what do you hear, Laurel or Yanny? And everybody divided on, what do you hear, Laurel or Yanny? And it was the same thing as, oh, is the dress blue and black?
Yeah, exactly. That's what I was thinking of too.
It's just like whatever you want to see is what you see.
Laurel and Yanny. I'm looking this up right now.
Yeah, it was so big for like 3 days.
Oh my God! Even ASAP Science did something.
Yep.
Oh, I see. Yeah, I'm hearing both too. I hear both Laurel and Yanny. Holy shit, man! What the fuck, dude? I literally hear both. Oh my God! How did I not know about this?
Wait, what is this? I want to see if I can.
Hey, Cryptomus, press the top left button. That's your chat, so you don't have to go on Discord. You can see it here. The top left button in your Hangouts, okay. And you can see me posted there.
I think I just activated Jerry's nerd side.
Holy shit, Laurel! I heard both.
I heard Yanny at first, and then when people said that, oh, I hear Laurel, that's hard to hear Laurel.
Wow.
I think even Ellen did a segment on it.
All Things Expendable says it's Team Laurel. Laurel and Hardy. Yanny is fake news. Oh, shit, I love you.
It's adorable.
Wow. Talking about Laurel and Hardy, man. Laurel was so mean to Hardy. Or no, Hardy was so mean to Laurel. Hardy's the fat one. He was so mean to the skinny one. I don't know if you guys have seen Laurel and Hardy, but god damn, the fat dude was so mean to the skinny dude.
Laurel and what?
Laurel and Hardy. They came along before Abbott and Costello. Like Abbott and Costello, they made the fat guy the clown. So Abbott, the skinny guy, was the straight man. But in Laurel and Hardy, both of them were silly. But Hardy was more silly. The skinny guy was more silly. So the fat guy was the bully, unfortunately.
Oh, I Love Lucy.
Oh, have you ever seen I Love Lucy?
I Love Lucy was kind of messed up when you think about it. Because okay, that's a funny topic in itself, and I'm not going to go into it. It's a little bit of a tangent, but yeah, it's a little bit messed up. Or the gold. Not really the Golden Girls. Yeah, I don't think the Golden Girls like that, but it's more of like a. It's a very like bullying mentality, but underground bullying, which I think is like worse because you're sitting over here like, well, are you my friend or are you my foe? Frenemy.
Frenemy, man. That's what all sorority girls are. They're all frenemies with each other. They're not real friends. You can cut the tension with a knife in a lot of sorority houses.
Oh my god. Dude, I used to live so as being a college girl, I had to live inside of a place. My old house had 3 other roommates. And one of them was in a sorority. It was Oh my God. There was this one time where they had brunch at our house. And keep in mind, our house is big, but not big enough to fit like 40 girls inside of a living room area.
Crap.
So they were all like these preppy, basic people that I swear I could just smell the gold status Starbucks card on them whenever I walk upstairs. And I was not aware that there was a brunch going on. So I walked downstairs in my and I had an afro. I'm black, so I had a giant afro of just like matted up hair from me sleeping. And then I walked downstairs. They give me the dirtiest look, like, how dare you look ugly in your own house? Like, what? Like, oh, I'm sorry.
Wait, you joined the chat before, right?
Me?
Is this your first time in the live hangout, or have you joined our live hangout before?
I haven't spoken, no, but I've been like
never
typing.
mind. Okay, never mind.
No.
Suddenly I was like, I felt like your voice resembled another girl that joined, but I guess not.
Well, I mean, a lot of girls' voices sound similar. I can't. I have no individuality when it comes to that. Only when I sing, but that's my.
So you do sing. All right. What's your song that you sing?
Huh? Oh no.
What's your favorite song to sing?
I grew up in a jazz household.
Oh my God.
My grandfather was an international jazz musician. So I learned how to sing jazz from a very young age.
Dude, let's sing.
It's time for some karaoke.
Oh hell no.
Jazz is my favorite, man.
My grandfather was Clark Terry.
Was what, sorry?
My grandfather's name was Clark Terry.
Clark Terry?
No, Clark Terry.
Clark Terry. Yeah, that's why I heard Park. I'm like, wait, I never heard of a Clark Terry. Oh, that's your grandpa.
Mm-hmm.
Damn, he even still has a website.
Yeah, my grandmother still runs it.
Wow, that's amazing. Clark Terry. What was his favorite song to play, if you remember?
He said that anything that made his heart flutter was his favorite.
Mm-hmm. Wow. Interesting. Mumbles. I looked at, there's a song called Mumbles. Oh, he was on the Tonight Show. Oh, wow.
Yeah, he got a Grammy a couple years before he died.
Oh, my God. Your grandmother did just a good job with this website, by the way.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah.
I'll tell her that.
Yeah, tell her that. Tell her also to add more videos. I want to see more videos. But she does a very good job. Like, I look at Clark Terry, I'm like, oh, shit, I know what he's about. I know some of his favorite songs. That's basically, as a musician, that's what you need. But yeah, for anyone that wants to know more, like, if I wanted to see more videos, then it's lacking that. That's my only criticism.
Well, I guess there's always YouTube. I don't know, but she's not necessarily that great at technology, so I'll just tell her.
Mm-hmm. Baghead777. Baghead's been trolling my channel since 2016. He says jazz is not music. Well, you are wrong.
How dare you?
No, he's been trolling my channel since I started. So I don't know why he came back after a year. He hasn't commented in a year. So, oh, Paul Slack knows your grandpa, man.
Wait,
Sonny and Terry was a famous duo.
Yeah. You know.
Paul Slack, man. Again, Paul, I want to bring you on. Add me on Google+. I don't even need your email. Just add me on Google+ so I can invite you in the future. Like, Paul, I picture him as this, like, hipster white dude with long hair and glasses, and he can sing a tune. He can sing what you call blue-eyed soul. Like, he could sing Little Latin Loop and like make it sound as black as possible. Like, that's what I picture Paul Slack as. But Paul, we don't know until you join, man. You've been a great fan. I just want to see your face. By the way, Cryptimus, can you show your face?
Oh, I can't at the minute, no.
What about you? Do you want to show your face, girl?
Paul says he's half Korean.
No way, really? Oh, that's amazing.
I'll tell you what, though. The whole crypto Twitter scene
has a lot of anonymous faces. So that's sort of the theme that we all go with.
By the way, shout out to whichever viewer donated crypto to me. That was pretty cool. So I got donated crypto. I'm not going to do anything with it, but.
Oh, cool, man, cool. Which ones do you accept?
Just regular Bitcoin.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, I have other things too, but just Bitcoin seems to be the biggest, of course. So.
Yeah.
But I still really want to hear you sing.
Oh no, that's not going to happen. No, you cannot pay me enough money in the world to.
What's a jazz song that's stuck in my head? All right.
I like "I'm a Woman."
I don't know that one. You want to show us?
Blues, though. Never mind.
Blue skies smiling at me. Nothing but blue skies do I see. Bluebirds singing a song. Nothing but bluebirds all day long. Never saw the sun shining so bright. Never saw things going so right. Noticing the days hurrying by. When you're in love, my how they fly. Blue days, all of them gone. Nothing but blue skies from now on. Never saw the sun shining so bright. Never saw things going so right. Noticing the days hurrying by. When you're in love, my how they fly. Blue days, all of them gone. Nothing but blue skies from now on. So that was my jazz song for tonight.
That was cool.
That was amazing.
So now our girl here has to sing too.
You really want? Oh, you're not giving up, are you?
Paul Slack, man, join our talk. So we want to hear you sing.
Please come.
Please, Paul.
I really want to meet a fan of my grandfather. I
love Paul.
Him. He's often forgotten behind Louis Armstrong, who honestly, like, he was a great contender of jazz, but he wasn't. Mm-hmm. He's very imitatable.
Why don't you do a Louis Armstrong impression, girl?
Oh, what? My voice can know.
Do a Louis Armstrong impression. Come on.
Hello.
Yeah.
He had like a very like raspy voice though.
Yeah, it's probably not good for the voice to do a Louis Armstrong. Paul Slack says his ex-wife had an album of your grandpa.
Had a what?
Had an album of your grandpa. Pretty funny. Oh man, why don't you join? I told you, add me on Google Plus, Paul. Let me link my Google Plus so you can add me. Give me 1 second, Paul Slack.
One of us.
Okay, Paul, this is my Google Plus profile, all right? Your ex-wife was black, okay?
Okay.
Paul,
I see you down for the
add
floor.
me here. So add me there, Paul, all right? And then we can bring you in this talk. I am determined this time. Frank Sinatra was kind of jazz, but he would be more soft jazz. Yeah. That's sometimes a classification for Frank, soft jazz. He's definitely not blues.
Oh man, I Don't Dance is one of my favorite songs by him.
Which one?
No, I Don't Dance.
How do I not know that song?
I don't dance, don't ask me.
I don't dance. Oh, I Won't Dance?
No, yeah, I Won't Dance.
I Won't Dance. I'm going to listen to this right now. Ooh.
Honestly, Jin, same. Not really, but same.
I got into like jazz quite recently, actually.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I don't know any artists off the top of my head, but I just sort of found some pretty good songs on Spotify, and I put it on the playlist. So that's about it. I don't really know. I can't really contend with the names and all the stuff. But
Oh no,
yeah, I
no,
really
no,
like
you
the
don't
sound.
have to. Yeah, it's all about the feeling and all about the vibes you get from it. You don't have to necessarily know like, oh, this is this, or this person did this, or this person contributed in this way.
Yeah,
like,
and I think the probably one of the main things that got me into it was this anime called Cowboy Bebop, and that has a lot of influence from that. And yeah, the sound really caught my ear, and that's what really drew me to that style of music.
Yeah, it was. Jazz has always been a very big part of my life. Like I just think because like my grandfather, he used to love teaching people. That was one of his favorite things to do. Even up until the day he died, he was giving lessons out to people. And so there was because people from all around the world. That's how I have so many international friends. People from all around the world used to come and take lessons over at the house that I used to stay at. And so often I would wake up to somebody playing the piano or somebody playing the drums or the trumpet or the saxophone, something. And so I would always be around music.
That's cool. That's cool. So are you still in contact with these people?
With a couple of them, yeah. I have friends in Denmark, parts of Africa, like Zimbabwe, Burundi, Ethiopia. I have some friends in Nepal, India. Oh, and these two boys named Alan and Adam who did his documentary in Australia. Of course, both of them are here now, and Alan's married, but they're going to teach me how to surf later, so I'm looking forward to that. Hopefully, I don't get bitten by a shark.
Oh, cool. Well, that would be cool, but yeah, good luck.
Oh, and also England. Forgot England. England's a big factor. A lot of the people that visited there were from England. I'm not forgetting any of you.
They might be listening, thinking, "What about?"
Oh no! Oh, and Germany and France. I'm sorry, I forgot y'all too. All of a sudden, I'm just gonna get like all of my friends at the door, like, "How dare you forget my country? I thought we had something special." Like, I'm sorry, cool. I saw you play your viola once, and that was it.
Yeah, I think on the last hangout that I was on, we were talking about how music can really transcend boundaries, and I think it was in particular, there was like a video that Jerry was doing a video on, and yeah, that sort of spurred the conversation. It's really strange how that can really transcend boundaries and connect so many people, isn't it?
Yeah, was it after the Country Boy? Was that or was that another? Oh no, it was that channel where we all sang. I remember that. The 8-hour one.
Yeah.
Oh, there was a karaoke channel? Dang, I missed it.
Yeah, we had a karaoke one.
I would have started belting out Aretha Franklin.
Oh my God, I want to hear it right now. Come on. Here, push it.
Oh no. Did I just dig myself a hole?
Yeah, you did.
What did she say? She sang the R-E-S-P-E-C-T. R-E-S-P-E-C-T.
How do you spell it again, Jerry?
R-E-S-P-E-C-T. Bam, got it.
There we go.
Man, lady of Aretha.
Find out what it means to me.
I'm listening to Frank Sinatra while I'm listening to you guys. You got me on a Frank Sinatra binge again.
Frank Sinatra has like such a soothing voice.
Yeah, even Jin said that it's like Frank Sinatra can turn everyone on. Frank Sinatra, I think, was rated the #1 makeout music or something like that.
I could see that. I could easily see that.
I'm listening to Frank Sinatra sing "Killing Me Softly."
Always gonna be better than
Frank Sinatra singing "Killing Me Softly." Cannot believe it.
Wait, why did Paul Slack? He wrote in the a comment he wrote, "That's not replicant fish." He's like a MGTOW channel. Seems pretty random that he would just put that in the chat. Maybe he is a MGTOW. Maybe that's why he subscribed to you.
Yeah, I think Paul is MGTOW.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Jin says Michael Bublé is the closest you can find to Sinatra today.
Okay, I love Bublé's Christmas album so much. Like, it's beginning to look a lot like Christmas. Plays every single Christmas for me. I'll play it in October. That's how bad. Ugh, so good. I actually sang that for my, wow, I was young, ninth grade talent show. 8th grade, 9th grade. Yeah.
Jin wants you to sing too, by the way.
Oh, God.
Busy says old women get wet over Bublé. Oh, Paul Slack, you are baiting me, huh? Paul Slack is baiting me.
He's not wrong.
Paul Slack is baiting me with a song. Paul, if you join our hangout, I will sing that song. Paul, why haven't you added me? Have you added me on Google Plus? Let me see if he has added me on Google Plus.
How about this, Paul? If you actually join our chat, I will sing Michael Bublé's.
Oh, Paul, come on, Paul.
Holy crap.
Paul, man.
This all relies on Paul to join the chat.
I'm searching for Paul Slack right now. It's not the Paul Slack. Come on, Paul. All right. Let's see. Thought Police is also baiting me too with New York, New York. They're both good songs, man. Paul Slack wants me to sing Chicago, and Thought Police wants me to sing New York. Damn, they're both really good songs sung by Sinatra.
Whenever
They're both named after places.
Sorry, Frank Sinatra's Killing Me Softly was still playing. Do you mind saying that again? Cryptimus, whatever you just said, I didn't hear.
Oh, yeah, no, I just said, well, both songs are just named after actual places, which was that his style to name songs after places like Chicago, New York, that kind of thing?
I don't know. I wonder, you know what? We can go through the cities, the major cities in America. How many songs have been written? San Francisco, we have I Left My Heart in San Francisco. LA, we have a bunch of. What's the most LA song?
California Love.
California Girls. Hey. But that's not really about Los Angeles. It is kind of.
Well, she talks about Venice Beach, so.
Oh, Los Angeles, I'm Yours is one. To Live and Die in Los Angeles. Los Angeles is burning. Okay, so there's a lot of. Welcome to the Jungle is definitely LA. Okay.
There was a lot of NWA songs about LA too.
Yeah, and Tupac as well.
Oh, California Dreamin's a good one. So we took care of the two major cities in California. What about San Diego? Are there songs about San Diego?
Probably. No, there is a song about San Diego, but it's part of that show called Crazy Ex-Girlfriend.
Oh, Tom Waits. Fuck, I screwed up his last name. Did San Diego Serenade. There's a song called Pretty Girl from San Diego. Damn, I'm learning stuff right now.
Oh.
Blink-182 also did a song called San Diego. Jin is asking, rather than talking about what's out there, have you guys talked about what we did to reach those out there? I think Jin's question is about like contacting the aliens, or is that what you mean?
He might be listening, like he might be listening behind.
Oh, makes sense.
Are there any songs about Dallas? Is the question. Well, I know Dougie is from Dallas, but that's it.
Songs about Dallas.
Oh, the Rolling Stones?
9 a.m. in Dallas by Drake.
Oh, really? Oh, I am so looking this up. 9 a.m. in Dallas.
Oh, yeah, Jin's just talking about contacting extraterrestrials.
Yeah.
I mean, I went to the end of the SETI talk, and apparently, actually, I believe SETI's getting some upgrades. Look at this. I believe SETI's actually getting some upgrades. Also, guys, back in the day, if you guys remember in like 2008, 2009, you actually could download the software where you can help SETI. You can use your computer when it's idle, and you can help SETI analyze its data, all the data it's processing. Let's see if you can still find it. It was on download.com. Remember that site? I used to download all these stupid games on there. Yeah, it's called SETI at Home. You need about 20 megabytes of free space.
Megabytes.
Yeah, SETI at Home right here.
Damn.
SETI at Home. But so Jen actually wanted to talk about the Voyager probes, which is so cool. There was that controversy, and Cryptomus, you can add into this if you want, but there was the controversy with how the Pioneer probes designed their golden discs, because all the Pioneer probes and all the Voyager probes have these discs that not only do they carry some sounds and music from Earth, they also show us where we are. So let me actually show you guys real quick. Because Pioneer, it's called the Golden Record. It's called the Pioneer Plaque. So let me show you guys, and I'll show you what the criticism is. So this is the, oh, actually, I'm not going to zoom in because it shows a man with a dick. So I'm not going to get like demonetized over it. But so this is a neutral hydrogen atom. And you can see it jumps states, I believe. This is what it's showing, the electron jumping states. But the criticism is here. So this is showing Earth in relation to, I believe these are either pulsars or stars. I believe these are pulsars. Look, if you look here, this is the size of a human in relation to the Pioneer craft, which is very genius because someone who finds the Pioneer craft will be like, oh, so that's how big humans are. Here's the criticism. You see this arrow here? What if their culture doesn't understand what a fucking arrow is? Like, an arrow means this is where we came from, right? What if it doesn't understand this signal? So it's saying we came from Earth, and this is where it sailed, but the criticism is this. So if you look at how Voyager designed Voyager, of course, it's a lot more sophisticated. But this is the Voyager craft. Again, you got the hydrogen atom. This is still the same, us in relation to pulsars, but it has all this other stuff. And honestly, I forgot what these are, but no more arrows, as you can tell.
Oh.
So that's, Jin, if you wanted to add anything. In fact, Jin, I'm going to add you right now. You can, I think I added you already, Jin, if you want to come on to this talk, but you can come on to this talk if you want. So check your email, Jin. But that's the difference between the two plaques. And
all right.
So I'm just looking at the page right now. Voyager also has a lot more recordings of sounds from Earth and stuff like that. So it's a golden record, basically. So besides the plaque, it carries a record. Very interesting. Voyager plaque. We can look at the components real quick. I'm actually really curious.
Jim can't join us at the library.
Oh, I see. But so what's the golden record cover? So let's look at this. I'm looking at the JPL page, guys. So right here. So bam. Putting in the description too. But so it has, and let me share my screen with you guys. It's really awesome. We're getting to learn so much today. Thanks for asking that question, Jin. But so we have, picture 1, 2, and 3. So something related to binary numbers. Again, talking about scientists not knowing how to communicate. This is scientists not knowing how to communicate. If you're going to say picture 1, 2, you should put up 1, 2, 3. Or else how do I know if you're going 1, 2, 3 or 1, 2, 3? You see, scientists, man, they don't know how to communicate. Picture lines 1, 2, 3 are noted in binary. I guess here. I don't know.
Click on the click for detailed program, and it gives you a description of.
Oh, detailed diagram. There we go. Okay, I see. So this is binary code defining proper speed. Time period associated with a fundamental transition of a hydrogen atom. Okay. So this is telling it how to play. I see. So these two are telling you how to play the record. Interesting. It's telling you how to play the record. So I was right. This is pulsars. Earth's location with pulsars, this hydrogen atom. So what is this? Video image frame showing direction of scan. I have my criticism of this too. I don't think aliens are going to be able to like interpret this from looking at this. Really? You're going to look at this and be like, oh, yeah.
There's no way.
There's no fucking way, man. This is the first image which will, so I guess this is the first image that will appear somewhere. If I don't know how, but it will appear as a circle. So how do you know they talk in binary?
Nobody does.
There's a lot of reliance on binary in this one.
Yeah, they may communicate in a completely different way.
Dude,
it would be so weird.
I suppose the only thing that they will gather from this is that we do have some form of complex communications. But other than that, they may interpret this stuff in a completely different way than what we're actually trying to show them.
Agreed.
Yeah.
So I am not happy. I'm not happy with that either. But what could you do? I mean, I know Carl Sagan designed the Voyager one, right? Let me look at this real quick. Let me look if it's Sagan or not. Carl Sagan designed the. I believe he designed the Pioneer or the Voyager. Oh yeah, no. But oh yeah, so Carl Sagan suggested it. I see.
Right.
And Sagan was pretty good at expressing himself. But I guess if they had Neil deGrasse Tyson, maybe they would have had an even cooler.
Yeah.
Probably.
Wow. Interesting. Yeah, I wonder if New Horizons has a plaque too. The one that passed Pluto. See if it has a plaque. Oh yeah, it does. Golden Record 2.0. Let's see. No, it doesn't. Man.
Imagine if they forgot to put it on.
Yeah, they were so in a hurry.
They launched. Did you forget? Did you put the plaque on? No. Oh, okay. That's never coming back. Missed opportunity.
Yeah, so I'm looking at a Quora post that's answering why. Yeah, he just said it felt like a distraction, wasted time. Yeah, I agree. I agree. I mean, what's a show except what you guys said about the fact that it'll just show them, oh, we're intelligent. We're just intelligent for the sake of showing we're intelligent. Like you've been practicing an instrument and your mom's calling a friend, you're practicing in the background, like, oh, look, I've been I know music now. Yeah. It's kind of like that. It's like us showing we're intelligent.
Well, another thing is that, if they do find the object, I'm sure the object itself will be signs that we're intelligent. So why would we need the plaque anyway?
Yeah, it's true.
But are we intelligent is the question.
No. I'm kidding. Yeah,
Well,
I suppose we are in relation to everything that we are aware of. But yeah, considering the fact that we can't even reach type 1 civilization, I doubt it.
The very fact that we have enough food to feed the entire world 3 times, but we still have people who die of hunger.
Yeah, and the fact that we can power the entire planet on a relatively small field of solar panels, yet we don't do it for some reason.
Ooh, you should send me that link about solar panels. I would love to read that. If you can find a study on that. Yeah. Because one of the arguments against solar is that it's so inefficient. But if it's true, we actually could power the entire world with solar, then fuck, man, that's amazing.
Well, you can't make any money off of it after a certain point. So it's just kind of like, what are you going to do? People are just full of
insert universal basic income of some sort.
Like the fact that there was actually a guy who created a water-powered car. But then after he created it, he mysteriously disappeared. And so did his car.
Crazy.
They deleted him.
Yep.
Let me see.
I wonder how far humans could actually go if we didn't hinder ourselves because of our greed and our notions just on trying to benefit ourselves.
Well, yeah, or just we talked about earlier, just being stuck in old paradigms and not being able to think outside paradigms. Even that in itself, Einstein didn't believe in quantum mechanics because he's like, no, the universe does not play dice. So part of it is greed and the fact that if you can't profit out of it, then fuck investigating. But part of it's also some of us just are afraid to accept new things, and I don't blame them. I mean, look at how quickly the world is changing now with automation. Imagine what life's going to be like in 20 years, man. I was talking to a guy. I was sitting next to a guy at the Ancient Aliens panel, and the guy's a mechanic. And he's like, oh, yeah, mechanics will be okay because even with automation, someone has to fix the machines. So he's like, yeah, he'll be okay. He's close to retirement, but he's still working because he just gets bored. So there's like a lot of people are investing in the software part of automation. But potentially, we need more people investing in the hardware parts of automation because the robots that clean our house, the robots that might build our house in the future, the robots that might fight our wars, they break. So we need people fixing them.
Yeah, as long as robots don't have AI.
There may be robots that will do the fixing.
But then the robots those robots would need fixing, right? Eventually it would go back to a human. Because if the robots could completely run society, they wouldn't need humans. That's a scary fucking thought right there.
Yeah.
Well, AI already took over this company called Go in South Korea, so it's like it's already happening.
Oh yeah, I remember.
It's like first nuclear weapons from Kim Jong-un and his little pig looking behind.
Yep.
And then now the artificial intelligence thing is like, oh well.
Yeah,
I guess.
It's still relatively narrow, though. That's the thing. Well, that will change in a few decades, I'm sure.
It's just completely insane how far humans have gotten.
Yeah. It's sometimes you think about that, you're just like, wow. And within such a short span, too. That's the crazy thing.
One funny example, my grandfather that I told you about, they had a fundraiser for him, or either a fundraiser or like this jazz event thing, and they wanted him to FaceTime on it because at that time he couldn't walk properly, and he couldn't go, so he was FaceTiming, and then so we were trying to get. He's like, what? Where's the phone? And I'm just like, Grandpa, it's there. People can see. He's like, no, they can't see me. What are you talking about? I started cursing. I'm just like, Grandpa, no, they can see you and they can hear you, okay? And it took him like a solid 10 minutes of straight up convincing me to be like, oh, what are you doing today? And it was the most hilarious thing I've ever seen in my life.
Oh, yeah. Can you imagine? Oh, what's going to happen in maybe in 30 years, 40 years. I mean, Paul and a bunch of people in the live chat were talking about how if you go into the atmosphere of Jupiter and Venus, potentially you could create, this would not be 30, 40 years, but you could create cities up there because you go high enough in the atmosphere, it's not a fucking crazy place. You go on the surface of Venus, you're fucked. right? Jupiter's a gas giant, so you just keep going in. You get crushed. It's all gas. But if you go high enough, especially in Jupiter, you can find a zone in Jupiter's atmosphere where potentially it's the same amount of gravity as Earth, and it's not as bad in every way. So there's ways potentially, if Mars doesn't work out, or Mars is only one option, we want to consider many, of creating cities that basically float on other planets, which is fucking crazy. Imagine one day we actually have like cloud cities.
I think Venus is a good option for that as well.
Venus is, it's our neighbor.
Yeah, and it's apparently if we can figure out the technology to create a cloud city, it may actually be better to go to Venus instead.
Yeah, agreed. Because people romanticize Mars probably partially due to the fact that it's always existed in our literature. But Mars is fucking crazy, man. The temperature, first of all, it has no magnetic field. So you have to design either some kind of shield or you have to go underground. And second of all, the temperature fluctuates like crazy. It's way farther than Earth from the sun. So because it has no atmosphere, it basically doesn't keep any of the heat. So during the day, sometimes you'll get the sun. It might be warm enough, but during the night, you're not going to survive unless you're underground or you have proper shielding. So you already have two very, very hard things to get past. And then Mars has these crazy dust storms. It'll bury all your solar panels, whatever way you generate power. So, in fact, Matt Damon and The Martian they got caught by a dust storm. That was one pretty cool, accurate part of Mars. But Mars is, it's red because that's rust, right? That's why Mars is red. It's sure we found water underground, but I mean, like you said, Venus could actually be a better option potentially if we know how to create some kind of sustainable biome or something in the clouds, in the atmosphere.
I'm not putting it past humans to figure out a way.
Yeah. I mean, All Things Expendable says that it's almost like Venus is an overdrive. So if you can lessen the effects of its greenhouse effect, potentially Venus might work. Yeah, and I agree with All Things Expendable. He says you can't raise Mars's gravity, right? But Venus is about the same size as Earth. So he makes some good points. It just, yeah. So there are arguments for Venus. Also, there's also arguments for the moon, honestly. There's water on the moon. Yes, the gravity's much less, but it's also closer to the Earth.
Yeah, and you can go back and forth within a few days.
Yeah.
Much more accessible.
So P-blockification also says maybe floating cities in the ocean. They actually are doing that, called seasteads, where you basically build a platform and you build cities on there. I wanted to bring the guy who runs the Seasteading Institute, but I don't think he doesn't think I'm big enough, I think, on YouTube. So he kind of I don't know what happened. He just never replies to my Facebook messages. But he says they're close. There's a floating island project in French Polynesia. I'm looking at their thing right now. But there are a lot of ideas. I don't know if you guys have heard of, I believe it's called Sealand. Basically, there was an abandoned oil rig that a bunch of British people went and just took over. They're like, okay, we're going to try to live on here.
What are they doing now?
I think eventually they got caught by a hurricane or something, and then they left. It's like a Sealand. The Principality of Sealand. I'll show you guys. I'll put it in the chat. Right here, Sealand. And I mean, they're pretty serious about it. You can buy nobility. So if you pay $30, you become a lord. if you pay $500, you become a duke. Yeah. I know, it's pretty funny. You could buy your way into their place.
I mean, what can't you buy your way in?
Exactly. You can buy a tank online too.
Yeah, and some tanks are street legal.
Oh my God.
in America.
That's crazy. Especially, I would imagine, in Texas.
Honestly, if I had the money in order to get one, I would. And then I would break check people so much. Like, please ride on my ass. Please.
Yeah.
You know what's
Okay,
crazy,
this
though?
is just oh yeah, go ahead.
The
Yeah,
Jetsons.
I was just gonna quickly say before you jump in. I just did a quick Google search on the amount of solar panels that it needs to power the world, and apparently we could do it by harnessing. Well, here's the title: we could power the entire world by harnessing solar energy from 1% of the Sahara. So that would give you a kind of size perspective.
Oh my goodness, it's so small.
Yeah, yeah.
The entire
Anyways, yeah,
world.
Go ahead, carry on.
Damn.
Yeah, the entire world.
That is insane.
That is insane.
Yeah, it's ridiculous.
That's so stupid. Anyway,
And considering,
Wow.
considering the sun is just shining there all the time.
Yeah, the sun's free energy, man. That's so sad.
And there's nothing there as well. It's like
If you can find the article again, I'll link it. That's so crazy.
Yeah, it's, okay, yeah. I'll paste it to you in Discord.
Wow.
Yeah, it's a Forbes article.
Uh-huh.
it's like putting a tree inside of a 4-foot room. Like there's so much potential, but you just stay there.
Yeah. So Paul Slack makes a good point that the moon doesn't have enough gravity to be viable long term, which is true. So in other words, if you go to Venus, you go to Mars, potentially you could have a baby like survive if the humans breed the next generation, but that's not going to happen on the moon. The gravity's too low. I see. And also the gravity's too low on the moon, and you'll just not just thinking about the next generation, you as a person living on there is going to lose too much bone mass. You'll be fucked. So that is true. So we have to figure out, we have to calculate some kind of limit. Like, what's the least amount of gravity a human can still live in and be able to not lose so much bone mass that it just falls apart?
But you also have to take into account how much gravity a woman can be in an environment and still give birth. Because gravity plays a huge part in
exactly. So potentially, eventually, my gut feeling is even in Mars, it's going to be too difficult. What's going to happen is every kid's going to be either in an artificial womb or the kid's going to be C-sectioned. And I think artificial womb is probably more humane. I don't know. What is more humane?
It seems to me that the one thing that we'd have to always take into consideration is the fact that by that time we'd probably have some kind of gene editing technology as well that could alter and make it easier for us to live on other planets.
Yeah.
So, yeah, there's always that.
Exactly. You could maybe edit the baby's head to be even more flexible during birth, so it could literally go like and then come out or something like that. Or you can argue, you can edit the woman's vagina to be able to expand 10 times more or something like that.
Oh, I would love that.
You want someone to fist you? I'm just totally kidding. So now they don't just fist you; they stick their foot and their legs into you.
Oh my god!
They stick their whole. I
can't get back. Jesus.
Yeah. Oh, this reminds me of this GIF I saw. It was so random, but like the guy, he was like putting his hand up there, and then he just starts to like climb in, and he just disappears inside. And I'm just thinking, okay, what?
Oh yeah, that one line.
There's a company, for those of you watching, this is going to be a great interview. I'm probably going to interview them in the fall. There's a company that designs sex dolls, and they designed a sex doll that's just a foot with a vagina. Imagine a foot and then a vagina, a plastic foot, so you can like stick your dick into the foot. So I'm going to ask them. I'm going to ask them about why they created. I mean, we know why, because the area for the foot and the dick are very close in your somatosensory cortex. A lot of times the neurons cross. That's why people get foot fetishes and why they get turned on sometimes. by rubbing their feet a certain way. But the fact that this company decided to just go for it and create a foot and a vagina in a plastic or whatever synthetic silicone thing is just crazy.
Oh my god!
Yeah.
You see, girls' sex toys are very simple. Okay, we don't need very extravagant things. Guys, on the other hand, y'all have robots that have AI that are sex toys. Who came up with that? What lonely ass dude inside of that was like, hey, you know what we should do today, Jim? We should invent a sex robot that has artificial intelligence that can have intellectual conversations with you. I
don't buy that argument for a second, considering you guys have those weird black horse things that you sit on, whatever they're called.
The Sybian.
Yeah, that's the most the strangest contraption that I've seen.
Yeah,
when it comes
it's like
to
a
those kind of toys.
You know about this, right?
Yeah.
No, I'm asking our girl representative here. I'm gonna put this here. I'm not gonna put it in the live chat. I don't want to get demonetized, but. It's like oh my god, I'm looking at the positions right now. Oh my god, there's one with two. You can sit on two dicks. There's a Sybian where it's a dick, so you can DP'd on there.
This is way stranger than
my fucking god. And it has the ridges to rub your clitoris, so you get the clitoral. You get, I guess, your vaginal / G-spot, U-spot, whatever, and you get your anal. God damn it, man. What the fuck? Oh, my God. Yeah, guys, search up Sybian. I'm not going to put it in the live chat for obvious reasons. Holy shit.
Yeah, if you want to criticize the male equivalent, then I believe you have some explaining to do on your side.
We'll see. Here's the thing, though. But who invented rotting?
What's rotting?
Guys, rotting.
Oh, frauding. Okay, I know what you're talking about. Frauding.
No, rotting. No, not flogging. Rotting. Rod, as in like a rod. Rotting. Don't look it up, Jerry.
I'm gonna look it up anyways.
With a W or an R?
Jerry, save yourself.
I'm looking at Urban Dictionary. Sexual intercourse involving at least one man or at least one dildo. Oh, so it's like a no.
That's not what that is. No, rotting is a thing in BDSM where you take an aluminum rod that's kind of like almost like a thickness of like you know like a paracord. And you stick it down a man's urethra and you slowly pull it out.
Ew, that's disgusting.
Oh my!
People do it. People do it all the time.
Ouch. Ouch. Wow.
Coming from a person who wanted to be a sexologist at some point in her life, I've done a lot of research.
Talking about ancient aliens and stuff, you know, anal probing seems to be a big thing in alien abductions. So, bam, connected it back to the topic again.
There you go.
Why? Why do the aliens always anal probe, man? What can you get from down there? We're not like dogs, right? Dogs have a little scent gland right next to their butt. That's why they sniff each other's butts. But we don't have a fucking scent gland right next to our butts. Or do we?
I mean, guys have a prostate. You can tell a lot about a guy through that. But other than that.
But that's so maybe the aliens trying to get the guys like, interesting.
Yeah, but why do that to girls? I have no idea.
But do women get anal probed in alien abductions? I have to look at this now.
I don't know. I've only heard about guys.
Abduction, female anal probe. I love this conversation. It's awesome. Inside alien anal probes, there's a site called Perihelion Science Fiction. I'm afraid to click on some of these sites, man. What if I get a virus or something?
Well, that's only your fault. I am not making you click on stuff.
That's right.
Your search history must be just completely fucked up.
Yeah, people are like, what's going on? Google that's analyzing all my data is like, what happened to this guy?
It's like the government calls. Hello, this is the NSA, Jerry. What have you been doing on your computer? I swear, research.
By the way, for the viewer thought police, the thing about terraforming Mars is that because it doesn't have a magnetic field, whatever you put up there, the solar winds will just blow it away, right? All the charged particles from the sun, when it goes crazy once in a while, will just strip away the atmosphere. That's why Earth is protected. We have a very strong solar, like a solar shield, exactly. We have a very strong magnetic field. So the problem with terraforming Mars is that you will have to continually terraform it. Or you have to find some kind of plant species or something that's releasing so much carbon dioxide and oxygen into the atmosphere that it outcompetes the amount that's being stripped away. So unless we can somehow create a magnetic field for Mars, which I know there's been plans to, you could potentially somehow, I don't know how, but you could potentially create an artificial magnetic field through satellites or something on Mars. So that way you solve the problem of the Mars not having a magnetic field, and then you terraform. So that's answering everyone's debate right now, because right now in the live chat, people are debating Venus versus Mars. And as much as I like Mars and I know technology isn't there for Venus yet, I think Venus is a better option in the long run, although Mars, for the short run, these next 100 years, probably Mars is better. But if you want the human species to survive, like, for example, if Earth gets destroyed the next day, Mars will probably be fucked too. So you need us both on Mars and Venus. And like Paul Slack says, maybe we need to get on Charon. Well, Charon's too small, but maybe on Titan or maybe on Jupiter. So we need to get on this, man. By the way, talking about this, I've been hanging out with a lot of aerospace engineers, and I want to bring them on this channel eventually to talk about this. And if I ever go back into engineering, I'd probably do aerospace engineering. I just feel like our society needs this right now. We need to fucking get this technology there, because I think the next 100 years, humanity has so many challenges, and life is probably the best it is now. These next 20 years is probably the best it's going to get. I'm just being honest. So we are good. We get to live out our prime years and good, but we're already kind of potentially by the end, we're going to see it go to shit, and then our old age is going to be bad.
You know what? As long as I make it to old age, just so I can just be like, hey, I'm gonna die anyway. So, sucks for you. That's all I think is gonna happen. Okay, that's basically my wish at that point. Plus, to be old, so I can do whatever I want. No lie, there was this dude when I was little, 11 years old. He was butt naked, taking a shower inside the mall fountain that we had. I don't know why, but nobody did anything. They're just he's 95. There's no reason to. He's earned it at this point. You're fine. I'm like, hey, whatever. He's a veteran. He's 95 years old. Let him be.
Awesome. And with that thought, guys,
found life on Mars. Just very, very basic life.
Interesting. Let's look at this. But anyways, Cryptimus, later on Discord or something, just send me that link of the solar panels article. That's so fascinating.
Yeah. But
I am going to conclude this talk now. It is midnight here, so I will have to go to sleep. Oh, cool. And it's actually probably later in Texas. It is actually much later in Texas. Thanks for staying up.
It's 8 a.m. in London. So.
Oh, wow. So
here, Jerry, I will fulfill your wish.
Yeah, this is oh, you're gonna show us?
No, if you want me to sing, I will.
Oh, please, yes, sing us a little song. That's a perfect conclusion.
All right. Fine. Let me do. Okay, I'll just do Christmas song because that's the only way I can come up with it right now.
Sure.
Oh, it's already done. It's beginning to look a lot like Christmas everywhere you go. Take a look at the 5 and 10, the once again, and candy canes and silver lanes aglow. It's beginning to look a lot like Christmas. Soon the bells will start. But the thing that'll make them ring is the carol that you sing right within your.
All right. All right.
That was great. That was great.
Thanks for singing, man. We'll do another session where we all sing.
Awesome. and then I'll belt it out because I'm trying to be a little bit quiet because my roommate's probably sleeping. But
makes sense. Okay, guys. Well, check out all those links. We have like 50 links in the description now. Check out all those links, and Cryptomus will give me the solar panel article soon. And everyone, share your thoughts about any topic we talked about. Seriously, any of these topics. I mean, you can keep it related to aliens if you want, but you don't have to. But either way, we'll do another hangout soon, man. Thank you guys so much, both of you, and thank you all in the live chat. It's fun to hear your debates and to hear your talk.
Woo.
Yeah, it was nice being on again.
Awesome.
Yeah,
and
nice to meet all of you.
Definitely. So both of you will definitely be invited in the future again.
Oh, thank you so much. It's always a pleasure watching your videos of the elf girl.
Yep. I'm going to probably do another big-eyed girl soon. So stay tuned for that, guys. Big-eyed girl rejects 2 guys, so that's going to be the next one.
Oh, yes.
Yeah,
that's how I found you, actually, is you translating those Chinese game shows.
That's right. Well, thank you. I'm going to translate a lot more. So maybe not the dating shows, but I'm going to translate some more stuff, just depending on what I see, what I feel.
Oh, please! I love the crazier ones.
Sounds good. And I'll tell more stories too. I've been thinking about all these funny stories from China, so more stories to come. Also, guys.
I will bring my popcorn for Jerry's story time.
Yay! Awesome. Cool, guys. Talk to you guys soon.
Okay. See you later, man.
Bye.
Awesome.